Longevity is not my wish, it only relieves the worries in my heart. This is a story that clearly wants to indulge in excessive calamity, but cannot escape its true intention. This is a story of the souls of later generations traveling through the wilderness and changing history. This is a story that explores the history of mythology while also becoming a myth. When the truth behind the flood and famine was uncovered, the mysterious and suspicious Xuanchen realized that there were not so many conspiracies at all. So many flood and famine novels were all deceiving me, and there was only one truth, and that was. More excitement lies in the flood and wilderness. There is only one truth, there is no flood and famine conspiracy theory, but the position is different. This book only wants to shape the flood and famine in the author's heart, keywords of the novel. The truth of the wilderness has only one pop-up window, the truth of the wilderness has only one complete TXT collection download, and the truth of the wilderness has only one latest chapter to read. Chapter 1. Nuwa created man, and Xuanchen descends the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Nuwa created man, and Xuanchen descends the world up and down. The four directions are called the universe, and from ancient times to the present, it has been called the universe. Radiant Milky Way, with light and shadow shining and disappearing. Look at it for no reason, investigate it endlessly. Since Pangu opened up the world with one axe, his chi became clear and turbid, his strength stabilized the universe, and the world began to divide. He also witnessed fierce beasts and two calamities by the dragon and Han. The Honghuang was entering a prosperous period. At this time, it happened that Hongjun ancestor had become a saint, after 3 preaching sessions at Zixiao Palace, and before the witch demon weighed the calamity. After the separation of heaven and earth, the clear and turbid divide and merge into rivers, forming mountains. They are either paired with a celestial abode or hidden in caves. Among them, there are 10 major caves, 30.6 small caves, and 70.2 blessed places, which are the foundation of immortality. After Hongjun Daozu preached, the immortal path flourished in the world. Among them, Sanqing Ershi, Nuwa, and Hongyun, who were bestowed with the foundation of Hongmeng purple qi, were all at the forefront of the storm, and all living beings in the wilderness were speculating who would become the first saint among the 7. Funqi Mountain. Since the conflict between the witches and demons became increasingly fierce, as the sage of Tianding, Nuwa and her brother Fuxi moved away from Mount Buzhou and used this Funqi Mountain as a dojo to meditate on the Hongmeng purple qi in seclusion. One day, the sky was clear, and I saw Nuwa sitting in a blue and white fairy skirt by a mud pit by the river, surrounded by 3,000 lifelike clay figures. The aura of creation lingered around her, and infinite visions emerged, as if she had realized something. The heavenly way is above, and I, Nuwa, observe the decline of life in the world of floods and wastelands. There are deficiencies in the 3 talents. Today, based on the 3 radiances and divine water, the 9 heavens and the earth, and with the innate Tao body as its appearance, I have created a tribe called humans to supplement the 3 talents, the human race, and establish a new one. I saw Nuwa pull her finger to her lips, bite through her fingertips, and then squeeze out a drop of blood essence. Then, with a little jade hand and long sleeves waving, the essence and blood turned into several streams of light, accurately blending into the eyebrows of each clay figure. Immediately, he unleashed the supreme divine power of spin creation, and the infinite power of creation condensed between heaven and earth, combining with the just ejaculated essence and blood. Mediation and creation, with the ability to mediate between heaven and earth, Xuanchen creation, and the ability to transform death into life, are the supreme divine powers among the 30.6 heavenly gangs passed down by Hongjun Daozu. The clay figurine was originally created by Nuwa and integrated with her own essence and blood, which perfectly matched the power of creation. With the integration of the power of creation, the 3,000 clay figurines grew up in the wind in an instant. These clay figurines, regardless of gender, were simple and unadorned, but their eyes were very agile, carrying an unimaginable intelligence. These clay figurines have just grown up, with doubts on their faces, constantly looking at everything around them and feeling very curious about everything around them. Until they saw the sitting Nuwa not far away, many newly born human beings were blessed to the fullest. They understood that it was the goddess in front of them who created them. They immediately bowed and shouted in unison, "See the Virgin Mary." However, one of the humans had a slower reaction, but no one noticed him among the many new human races. Even Empress Nuwa was immersed in the joy of creating a living race and did not notice anything unusual. Not enough. Although these 3008 human races were created, Empress Nuwa felt that they were still a bit short and not perfect. Immediately, a vine was pulled out and stirred in the mud pit where it had previously been mixed with mud, creating a powerful aura of creation. Then, with a flick of the vine, countless mud splattered and combined with the scattered aura of creation around, instantly transforming into naked individuals. With the help of vines, Empress Nuwa kept throwing mud and repeating it until the number of newly born human races reached 129600, which coincided with the number of members before stopping. These newly born human races also kept shouting, "See the Virgin Mary." With the return of the 129,608 human race, the sky was in disarray, and the earth was filled with golden lotus flowers. The boundless purple energy came from the sky, and endless heavenly virtues descended from the sky. Accompanied by the vast expanse of sunlight, it was colorful and enveloped Fengshi Mountain in the blink of an eye. Afterwards, the merit of the heavenly way was divided into 3 parts, and one of them, the virtue of success, combined with the vine that Nuwa had just created, became the ultimate treasure of postnatal merit, the whip for creating humans. 20% of them merged with the newly born 129,600 human race. Although there were no detailed changes, if you observe carefully, you will find that the eyes of these new human races are even more bright and lively. And in the end, 70% of the heavenly Tao merit was integrated into Nuwa's body, and countless golden Tao patterns around her suddenly appeared. After the merit entered the body, it combined with the faint purple energy deep in Nuwa's primordial spirit, prompting the primordial spirit to rely on the heavenly Tao. A terrifying holy power emanated from Nuwa's body, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 earth, looking down at the world and the wilderness. At this moment, on the vast land, whether it was countless ordinary creatures or quasi-holy powers like the 3 cleanings and 2 interpretations, demon emperors, and 12 ancestors, all understood the birth of the second sage in the vast wilderness. They immediately bowed, practicing together. We congratulate Goddess Nuwa on her sanctification and wish her endless longevity. As the goddess of Nuwa entrusted herself with the heavenly way, her figure was reflected in all the heavens and the world, pure, good, beautiful, and divine. Today, I, Nuwa, have created humans and become saints. I will open up the Tai Su heaven in the chaos beyond the heavens, hoping to emulate teacher Hongjun in preaching to all beings. Those who have faith can come and listen to the teachings. Furthermore, the human race was created by me, and no one or race shall infringe upon the human race for 30,000 years. Immediately, it flew towards chaos beyond the sky. As soon as Nuwa finished speaking, the sentient beings in the wilderness expressed themselves differently. Some were ecstatic and some were thoughtful. Most of those who are delighted are those with lower cultivation. After all, it is rare for saints to preach for thousands of years, and before that, it was only 3 times that Hongjun Daozu Zixiao Palace preached. However, those who have carefully considered are mostly top-notch talents in the wilderness, including the 3 cleanliness transformed by Pangdi Xuanchen, the 12 ancestral witches transformed by essence and blood, as well as many other great talents such as Emperor Jun, Tai, Hongyun, Zenyuanzima, and Mingi Laozi. Kunlun Mountain. I never expected that the first one among my 6 senior brothers to become a saint would be Sister Nuwa. It really makes us sweat. Tai Qing Laozi looked at the reflection of the Nuwa Dharma in the sky and sat cross-legged on a cushion, calmly speaking. But it's just a lucky lead. The person who spoke was exactly Yuqing Yuancher, and it was also in line with his arrogant personality. As Yuqing Yuanshi, who claimed to be the orthodox of Pangu, how could he tolerate falling behind a mediocre woman? Big brother, why worry too much? We should strive to catch up. One step at a time doesn't mean one step at a time. As a Xuanchen Tong Tian whose opinions often contradict those of Yuanshi, this time it is rare for him to echo Yuanshi's words. What the two wise brothers said is true, but I have thought too much. Tai Ching Laozi turned to Yuanshi and Tong Tian and said. So, big brother, will Nuwa preach this time and let us go? The person who spoke was from Xuanchen Tong Tian. Go, why not go? As the saying goes, those who achieve success first. Since Sister Nuwa has achieved the position of a saint one step ahead of us, I believe there must be something extraordinary about her. Let's go and listen, maybe it will also inspire our path. Good. Good. Immediately, the three of them stood up, left Kunlun Mountain, and flew out into the sky. Heaven Demon Palace. The sanctification of Nuwa Daoyu is a good thing for our demon tribe. In the past, we invited Fu Shi Nuwa and her two companions to join the demon tribe, but Fu Shi Daoyu agreed. Although Nuwa Daoyu did not express a clear statement, he did not refuse. With the relationship of Fu Shi Daoyu, Nuwa Daoyu must be on our side of the demon tribe, and the destruction of the witch tribe is just around the corner. The demon emperor Juanhe and the eastern emperor Tai looked at the vision of Nuwa becoming a saint for a long time without saying a word, but it was the eastern emperor Tai who spoke up first. On the other hand, my elder brother's mood has not yet reached home, which makes my wise brother laugh. Although we do not have the Gongming purple chi, if we exterminate the witch clan, our demon clan will unify the vast wilderness and gather the energy of the entire wilderness. We may not be unable to become the Hunyuan sage. We will prepare a generous gift and go to Taisu heaven to congratulate Nuwa on becoming a saint. After Emperor Jun finished speaking, he smiled at Eastern Emperor Tai and flew towards the sky. Bu Zhou Shan. Pangu Temple. Big brother, the women of Nuwa have always been close to the demon tribe. Her brother is still the demon court emperor, and her sanctification is very detrimental to our witch tribe. The one who spoke was Zhu Rong, one of the 12 ancestral witches. Zhu Rong originally had a beast head and a human body, covered in red scales, with ears pierced by fire snakes and feet on fire dragons. He was revered as the ancestral witch of fire. Although he had always been irritable and resentful of evil, he was thick and thin, and now transformed into an innate Taoist figure, but he was a middle-aged man. Brother, there's no need to worry. In the past, I also went to the Zixiao Palace to preach. The Taoist ancestor had spoken before, and the sages were not allowed to interfere with the flood and wilderness. Although Nuwa became a saint, she couldn't help the demon tribe. The speaker was the earth ancestor Wu Hudu. Hudu originally had a human body with a snake tail, 7 hands behind his back, and 2 hands on his chest, holding the Ting snake in both hands. Hudu was the smallest and most intelligent among all the ancestors Wu. At this time, he transformed into an innate Dao body and appeared as a group of animal skin skirt girls. Not bad. Emperor Jiang slowly spoke up, saying that the witches have always only respected Pangu. Even if Nuwa became a saint, she did not receive much respect from the 12 ancestors of the witch. Let's not talk about whether Nuwa will take action. Once we understand the formation left by our father, even a saint may not be invincible. The 12 ancestral witches are transformed by the essence and blood of Pangu, fighting against the heavens and earth without fear. However, the 12 ancestral witches have a congenital and incomplete spiritual essence, and their preaching is of little use to the 12 ancestral witches. However, they do not intend to join the fun. The Dark Sea of Blood. This is a forbidden land of life in the wilderness, where fish and shrimp are not thriving in the Sea of Blood. On the Sea of Blood, birds are difficult to cross. However, yin and yang coexist in all things, sometimes the anode produces yin, and sometimes the cathode produces yang. In the Sea of Blood, a great power was born, claiming to be a Taoist of the Styx River. Nuwa is truly one of the 6 saints of heaven. As expected, she has a good chance, but she doesn't know where our great divine beings are headed. Styx River looked at the scene at the foot of Buzhou Mountain, with a hint of sadness and envy in his eyes. However, soon after, a thought flashed in his heart that Nuwa could preach and become a saint because she had created a race. Although for some unknown reason, it was already enough. Why don't I create a race based on this dark sea of blood? Speaking, he also stood up and flew towards the sky. Not to mention the sanctification of Nuwa, how did many great powers react? The tens of thousands of human beings at the foot of Fengqi Mountain saw the Virgin Mary leave and stood in place for a while before starting to observe the world around them, scattering away. However, a new generation of humans stayed in place for 2 or 3 hours, as if they had just come to their senses and murmured. "I'll go. I just don't know what hit me, right? I just crossed over. It's still a wilderness, and at the beginning, it's Nuwa making people." After speaking, he looked around and then at his naked body. "Forget it, let's find something to cover up first." Newcomers with plenty of support, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Surviving in the Flood and Wilderness, Utilizing Merit and Virtue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 3. Laozi seeks the way and becomes sage through the 3 cleanings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Laozi seeks the way and becomes sage through the 3 cleanings. Of course, this Xuanchen can only think in his heart, he still needs to show his face and cannot make such a move in public. The old man in the Taoist robe also saw the gaze of the 2 people here. Looking over, Xuanchen felt as if he was not wearing clothes and was seen through. Under the old man's gaze, there was no secret that could be hidden. "I have seen an old immortal, but I don't know where he came from or where he went." Seeing the old man casting his gaze, Xuanchen no longer hesitated. Although he knew that this was Tai-Ching Laozi, he still approached and asked knowingly. "Oh, why do you think I'm a fairy?" Tai-Ching Laozi twisted his beard and said. "We are all dressed in animal skins and walking barefoot, dressed as old immortals, but it is very different from us. Moreover, our tribe is surrounded by wild animals, with mountains and valleys, and there are still casualties when we travel together. If it were ordinary people, how could they get here, and there is no dust on their bodies? You're quite clever, but I think you 2 came specifically for me." Laozi glanced at Xuanchen and asked in reverse. "I dare not deceive the immortal. The flood is full of danger, and our lives are like grass. If it weren't for the mercy of the Holy Mother, who ordered that all tribes in the flood not invade our tribe for 30,000 years, we mortals would have been buried in the demon's belly long ago. Even the monsters around us who have not yet activated their intelligence would have caused our tribe heavy losses." Speaking, Xuanchen knelt down directly, kowtowed to Laozi Tai-Ching, and bowed. "Please have mercy on the immortal, accept me as my disciple, and teach us our immortal teachings. We will worship the immortal day and night." After speaking, Xuanchen kowtowed twice again. Upon hearing this, Tai-Ching Laozi remained calm and only pinched his fingers to calculate. However, Xuanchen felt a gentle breeze lingering around him, and an invisible force lifted him up. "We don't have a master-disciple relationship, let's go back." After speaking, Laozi Tai-Ching turned around and said to the dark animal skin young man who had led the way before. "Your tribe is also novel. Let me continue to take a look." Watching the 2 of them leave, Xuanchen didn't continue to entangle. After all, Tai-Ching Laozi probably won't leave the human tribe for a while, and if he doesn't succeed this time, there will be another time. "Xuanchen, even if we can't worship immortals as our teachers, we humans have no fear. One day, I will make this world remember our names." Looking at Xuanchen's slightly desolate expression and the figure of the 2 leaving, Xuanchen patted Xuanchen's shoulder and comforted him. "It doesn't matter, will the immortal leave for a while? With sincerity and dedication, gold and stone will bloom, and I still have a chance. Although Xuanchen was slightly unwilling, he was not discouraged. Moreover, without the method of cultivation, how can we establish our foothold in this vast and desolate world? If the deadline of 30,000 years is reached, our clan will not have enough power and will not have the right to speak. It is just fish and meat that can be slaughtered by others. Where there is a will, there is a way. Hard work never fails. As long as I am sincere enough, I can definitely move the immortal. Xuanchen knew that with the realm of Qing Laozi, the entire tribe's every move could not be concealed from him. Half of these words were told to Qing Laozi, and the other half were indeed what he had in mind. Moreover, although Laozi had no intention of accepting disciples, if he wanted to become a saint, he would definitely establish a human education and teach the golden elixir way. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Every day, I followed the young man with dark animal skin and walked around the tribe. I also went to the Xuanchen tribe and the Zi tribe, but I didn't feel bored. Xuanchen went to pay his respects every day, even if Laozi didn't say a word, he would still send some fresh fruits every day to show his respect. Although you have a strong desire to seek the Tao, we have no connection between master and disciple, and I practice the path of inaction, emphasizing the importance of letting nature take its course. Forcing is not beautiful. Watching Xuanchen persist for half a month, Laozi sat upright on the grass mat and spoke up. Chaozhou mushrooms don't know the intricacies, and cicadas don't know the spring and autumn. Compared to immortals, we mortals are nothing more than mediocre. If there is no way to practice, how can our human race survive in this vast wilderness once the Holy Mother's 30,000-year decree arrives? We are afraid of the risk of collapse. We kindly ask the immortal's mercy. Seeing that Laozi finally had a response, Xuanchen quickly knelt down and begged for help. The human race was created by Empress N Yua. Even if it takes 30,000 years, all ethnic groups in the wilderness will never dare to exterminate the human race. How could it be in danger of being overthrown? And why should I teach you the immortal method? Laozi asked back, I have been with the human race for more than 10 days, but I just want to see why N Yua became a saint. I am not interested in accepting disciples. Although the young man may not be able to walk around this mountain, he also knows that the law of the fittest is a basic rule in the wilderness. The Virgin Mary can protect the human race for a while, but not for a lifetime. The human race ultimately has to rely on herself. Recalling the saying in later generations that the demon race slaughtered the human race and refined the witch-slaying sword, using the human race as food, Xuanchen replied. And the Virgin Mary has created a family from scratch, with immeasurable merits. If the immortal master does not hesitate to teach us the immortal method, the world will also thank the immortal master for his teachings. Upon hearing Laozi's inquiry, Xuanchen immediately took advantage of the heat to build the railway. Education. Education. Qing Laozi's expression was hazy, as if he had understood something. He murmured, his body's breath changing, as if he had disappeared into this space and time. Looking at the old man who was in a state of enlightenment, Xuanchen dared not disturb him and quickly retreated, while also pulling away the young man with dark animal skin. There is no time in the wilderness, and in the blink of an eye, it is half a sun's past. During this period of time, there were frequent anomalies around the thatched cottage where Laozi was located, and the atmosphere in the void was shrouded in mist, blending in with the divine charm of the heavenly way. On this day, Laozi was blessed to the soul, and his body was filled with restless purple energy. He walked out of the door of the grass house of Wudao, and with each step he took, his aura became even more profound and majestic. After 10 steps, he flew straight to his feet, and a huge holy power gradually spread towards his surroundings. The heavenly way is above all else. Today, I, Qing Laozi, intend to emulate Hongjun Daozu and carry out educational activities. Now, I have come to understand the Golden Elixir Avenue, and I intend to use it as a foundation to spread the teachings of the human race, human education, and establishment. I saw Laozi standing in the air, looking up and swearing. The heavenly way also began to respond, and suddenly the sky was in chaos, with golden lotus surging from the ground and purple energy coming from the east for 30,000 miles. I am the leader of the human religion, and now I use the innate treasure, Tai Chi diagram, to suppress the spiritual energy of the human religion. I hope the heavens can learn from it. Laozi took advantage of the heat to strike the iron, waved his big hand, and the innate treasure Tai Chi diagram flew out of his sleeve. It spread out in the air, bursting with countless divine lights. He saw the rotation of yin and yang, and the four phenomena changing, shining in harmony with the anomalies in the sky. As Laozi finished speaking, the merit of the heavenly way suddenly appeared out of thin air, covering an area of tens of thousands of acres, about half of the last time Nuwa became a saint. Merit is fleeting, instantly divided into two, 20% integrated into the innate treasure Tai Chi diagram, and 80% integrated into the body of Tai Ching Laozi. As merit entered the body, Laozi issued an edict, and a figure that resembled Laozi's figure flew out from Laozi's primordial spirit, which was the self-corpse of Tai Ching Laozi. In the past, Hongjuan's ancestor Zixiao Palace preached and once said that there were 3 ways to prove the Tao. The Dharma is based on strength to prove the Tao, relying solely on oneself, without the need for the vast purple energy. Infinite power belongs to oneself, and this way of proving the Tao can be called the strongest. However, as the Tao retreats and the heavenly way governs the world, no one can feel the complete laws of the Tao, so no one has succeeded. The Chinese method of chopping 3 corpses to prove the way was originally created by Hongjun Laozi. It uses innate spiritual treasures to support the 3 corpses of good, evil, and self, and then combines the 3 corpses to push one's own path to the realm of being above the quasi-saint and below the sage. With the addition of Gongming purple qi, one can become a saint, which is slightly weaker than using strength to prove the way. The Dharma is used to demonstrate merit and virtue. As long as there is enough merit, one can combine it with the Gongming purple qi, entrust the primordial spirit to the heavenly way, and become a sage of the heavenly way, thus proving the weakest way. Laozi, as the leader of the 3 cleans, was transformed by Panga Xuanchen. How could he be willing to use the weakest method to prove the Tao? The Great Way retreated to prove that the Tao had no way, so he used the method of beheading 3 corpses to prove the Tao. As the self-corpse was beheaded, Laozi's good and evil corpses appeared instantly, and then returned to the depths of the primordial spirit together with the self-corpse. But the problem lies in the unity of these 3 corpses. No matter how much Laozi urged them, whether it was magic, spiritual power, or merit, the 3 corpses could never be unified. Laozi even worked so hard to burn the primordial spirit, bleeding from his 7 orifices, exposing his veins, and causing the 3 corpses to be faintly unstable. Despite this, the 3 corpses still couldn't merge, and the 3 pure primordial spirits were so powerful that they showed signs of collapse. Sigh. Laozi let out a long sigh and had no choice but to give up the unity of the 3 corpses and use merit as a way of preaching. Previously, Nuwa preached in Taisu Tian for 1,000 years, but when I returned to the wilderness, I found that only 3 years had passed. The vast world opened up by Nuwa was only equivalent to 1 day, and the great power of the sage was undoubtedly revealed. This made me unable to suppress my thirst for preaching anymore. This time went very smoothly, with a large amount of merit combined with the Gongming purple qi, and also triggered the deep enlightenment merit of the Tai Ching Xuanchen. In an instant, the Xuanchen was entrusted to the heavenly Tao, and a huge sage's pressure swept across the vast world. Suddenly, all sentient beings in the wilderness knew that there was another saint in heaven and earth, and they all paid their respects, singing praises. Although I have become a saint, the shadow of the failure of the 3 corpses merging has lingered in my heart for a long time. However, since I have established a human religion and educated the human race, how could I eat my words and become fat? With a wave of his big hand, a golden light instantly split into hundreds of thousands of paths, and the cultivation method of the Golden Elixir Avenue was instantly immersed in the sea of consciousness of all human races. Laozi became a saint through his efforts in education, and naturally realized that Xuanchen, as the primordial deity of Pangu, had the responsibility of educating all sentient beings. He only needed to establish a great religion and preach to all sentient beings, in order to achieve great merit and great creation. I saw Laozi cheering loudly. Our Xuanchen was transformed by the primordial spirit of Pangu, and we were born in accordance with the heavenly Tao. We should educate all living beings. Our second and third younger brothers are not yet holy, let's wait a little longer. Kunlun Mountain. Yuqing Yuanshi and Shangqing Tong Tian saw Taiqing Laozi becoming a saint and heard Laozi's words. They didn't understand how to do it, so they immediately swore to the heavenly Tao. The heavenly way is above, and I, Yuqing Yuanshi, conform to the mandate of heaven today. I should make all living beings understand and maintain order tomorrow. Today, I will establish a mission to explain and educate all living beings, and use the innate treasure of the Pangu banner to suppress their luck. Anyone who is destined can enter my sect. The heavenly way is above, and I am clear and open to the heavens. I am willing to educate all sentient beings. Today, I have established the truncation teaching to cut off a glimmer of vitality for all sentient beings. I use the four swords of the innate treasure, Zhu Xian, to suppress Qi luck. There is no distinction between those who are born from birth and those who are transformed from birth. As long as they uphold a heart of Tao, they can enter my sect. As the two finished speaking, the Pangu banner and the four swords of the immortal slayer flew out, and the heavenly Tao suddenly descended with boundless merit, shining in harmony with the supreme treasure. The sky was in chaos, and the earth was filled with golden lotus flowers. Purple energy came from the east for 30,000 miles, and dragons and phoenixes became auspicious. Qilins offered blessings, and infinite phenomena appeared out of thin air. Merit enters the body, arousing the deep opening merit of the two spiritual beings, and instantly combines with the Gongming purple Qi. The spiritual beings rely on the heavenly Tao, and the infinite holy power once again sweeps across the vast land. The sentient beings in the wilderness once again worshipped and worshipped, with a chorus of praise and praise. All beings in the wilderness were immersed in the shock of the three saints in a day, while Xuanchen was still immersed in the cultivation method of the sea of consciousness and couldn't extricate himself. It wasn't until Laozi let everyone first understand and explained in detail 3 days later that he finally came to his senses. Seeking collections, seeking recommendations, end of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Method of Cultivation and the Classification of Realms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Method of Cultivation and the Classification of Realms. The West. Mount Shimi. Jian and Zhuanti watched as Xuanchen became holy one after another, looking at each other with a bitter smile on their face. Education, education, and the opportunity for us to become saints lies in these two words. However, in the past, our West suffered from the war of Taoism and demons. The demon ancestor Luo Gui extracted a large number of earth veins from the western land to refine the immortal killing formation. Later, he was defeated by the Taoist ancestor and exploded several earth veins, causing our western spiritual power to be scarce and our people to wither. Even if we were to establish a religion, the combined energy and merits of the entire western land would not be enough for us to become saints. Continuing to exclaim, he and Zhuanti were born in the West and have always been committed to revitalizing the West. However, the trauma of the previous war between the Tao and the demon cannot be easily healed. Why don't you first establish a religion and become a saint, senior brother? I will look for another opportunity. In the West, I always need to become a saint to have a chance to prosper. You and I have been supporting each other since the beginning of the transformation, always taking revitalizing the West as our own responsibility. We should work together and advance and retreat together. There is no reason why we should become saints first. Moreover, Nuwa created people to become saints, and the heavenly path descended tens of thousands of acres of merit before we became saints. The merit of the three Qing dynasty's education is only a few thousand acres, and it may not be enough to become saints alone. As the Pangu primordial god, the three Qing dynasty is blessed by nature and naturally carries the merit of opening up the heavens. The merit of education is just an introduction. Is it true that my Western prosperity is ultimately hopeless? Xuanchen let out a bitter smile and sighed deeply. He and Jane had already become infamous for revitalizing the West, and even the foundation of their sanctification, Gongming Ziki, had earned their reputation by selling their wealth. However, seeing that Xuanchen had already become a saint, and the two of them had yet to preach, he felt both unwilling and unwilling in his heart. Let's take another look. Jane comforted Dao, but he couldn't help feeling aggrieved in his heart. He and Xuanchen were both transformed from innate spiritual roots. Jane was transformed from the top-grade innate spiritual root bitter bamboo, while Xuanchen was transformed from the top-grade innate spiritual root gum gold Bodhi tree. The transformation of spiritual roots was not easy, let alone the top-grade innate spiritual roots, and neither of them had accompanying spiritual treasures. The treasures of enlightenment, the 6 pure bamboo and the 7 treasure miao tree, were both refined from their own transformed old bodies. The thought of this makes me even more frustrated. The border between the East and the West. Wanshou Mountain, Wuzhuang Temple. The Red Cloud ancestor, who had obtained the purple aura of Gongming, also withdrew his envious gaze. Unlike Xuanchen and Jane Xuanchen, he was not adopted as a disciple by Hongjun Daozu and had no background. Honghuan can only think a lot about Gongming purple qi. The disciples of the Taoist ancestor dare not snatch it. Do you, Hongyun, still dare not snatch it? So after 3 lectures at Zixiao Palace, Hongyun left and hid in his friend Zhen Yuanzi's dojo. Zhen Yuanzi has a top-notch innate spiritual treasure in his hand, which is transformed by the Chaos Supreme Treasure Chaos Qinglian leaf combined with the Earth's fetal membrane. It contains 40.8 innate prohibitions, only slightly weaker than the innate Supreme Treasure. It can mobilize the power of the Earth's veins and defend unparalleled, even comparable to the innate Supreme Treasure on the Earth. Driven by the strength of Zhen Yuanzi in the middle stage of the quasi-sage era, he was invincible below the sage, which was the only way to maintain the Hongyun Gongmeng purple qi. Red Cloud has been comprehending the Gongmeng purple qi for nearly 10,000 years, but has never achieved anything. Watching Nuwa become a saint one after another, he said that it is impossible to be in a hurry. He also knows that it is impossible to gain anything by building a car in seclusion. He was willing to go on a trip, but when he thought of the great power of thinking about Gongmeng purple qi outside, he could only sigh and close down again. In the past, the Zixiao Palace of the Taoist ancestor preached and established 6 cattails. Those who sat on these 6 cattails became disciples of the Taoist ancestor. It is unknown whether Hongyun, a famous old man in the wilderness, regretted giving up the cattails to Xuanchen. Regardless of how one perceives the 3 saints of a day, the great wilderness, and other major forces, Xuanchen is still contemplating the golden elixir road passed down by Laozi in the thatched cottage at this moment. Firstly, regarding the division of realms, the cultivation realms are divided into 10 categories. Human immortals, earth immortals, heavenly immortals, true immortals, mystical immortals, golden immortals, Tai golden immortals, Daoyuo golden immortals, quasi-saints, and saints. Since its establishment, the world of the wilderness has given birth to countless creatures, including those who possess innate divine powers. The transformation is known as the Golden Immortal and Tai Golden Immortal, and the Pan-Gu biological sons such as Sanqing and 12 ancestral witches are also transformed into the Great Luo Golden Immortal. At the beginning of the world's opening, the beginning of transformation is the Golden Immortal, which naturally contains an immortal golden meaning. In the realm of fierce beasts, the balance of yin and yang, the combination of innate beings, and the emergence of mystical immortals, both mystical and mystical, the gates of various mysteries. Although the creatures in this realm do not have a natural trace of immortal golden intent, they can become golden immortals through postnatal growth, devouring spiritual objects, and returning to their ancestral bloodline. At the time of the Long Han Rebellion, the three tribes of Dragon, Phoenix, and Qilin competed for supremacy, and more creatures combined. Among them, the dragon tribe was the most exaggerated. It is unknown how many creatures combined with it, but as long as there is a dragon tribe bloodline and recognition of the dragon tribe, the ancestral dragons recognize them as true dragons. Later, when the Hongjun Taoist ancestor Zixiao Palace preached, he divided this realm and also called it the true immortal realm. In the later stage of the struggle for supremacy among the Dragon, Phoenix, and Qilin clans, the great Tao retreated and the heavenly Tao emerged. All spirits continued to multiply, and the realm did not rise but decreased. Because it coincided with the birth of the heavenly Tao, Hongjun Daozu named this realm the heavenly immortal when preaching, which was also the lowest realm when Hongjun Laozu divided the realm of the immortal Tao. As for the emergence of the earth immortals, it was after the lecture of Zixiao Palace that Zhen Yuanzi benefited greatly from the Taoist preaching. In order to help transform the pine trees in front of his own Wuzhuang temple, Zhen Yuanzi was also known as the Lord of the Earth Immortals. The birth of human immortals was created by An Yuhua. Xuanchen looked at Laozi's division of realms in Shihai and felt speechless, as he now became the floor tiles of the vast world. However, it's not bad news either. Perhaps the 3,000 human race created by Empress Dowager An Yuhua was more thoughtful, and she should have been born in the later stage of human immortality. However, the more than 100,000 that Empress Dowager An Yuhua threw out with her vines were only in the early stage of human immortality, so it seems that she is not at the bottom. Moreover, I have been practicing the Taoist breathing technique I learned in my previous life for 4 years. In the world of the wilderness, there is still a lot of innate spiritual energy, and I should be considered the peak of human immortality now. Now that you have the cultivation method, you can start promoting to the level of Earth Immortal. Compared to human immortals, Earth Immortals not only increase the lifespan of their magic, but also allow them to practice spells, because there has never been a transformation under Earth Immortals in the past, nor has there been any spell in the realm of human immortals. Xuanchen had also read many avant-garde novels in his past life, and some conspiracy theories also claimed that Laozi of the Qing dynasty preached about the human race to steal their luck, and his teachings on the golden elixir were even more rubbish. But looking at the cultivation methods in his mind, Xuanchen could confirm that those were all baseless rumors. The golden elixir avenue was indeed extremely suitable for the current human race, and he could cultivate all the way to the realm of the great Luo Golden Immortal. As for why there are very few people who can achieve success in cultivation in the future, there is a high probability that as the human race proliferates and the spiritual energy of the wilderness declines, their qualifications cannot match those of the innate human race, resulting in very few people being able to achieve success. That is to say, the methods that are suitable for the human race now may not necessarily be suitable for the human race in the future. The golden light in my mind shines brightly, and the positions of the meridians and orifices around my body are extremely clear. The route of spiritual power operation is clear at a glance. After all, this golden light itself is a means of enlightenment. Xuanchen silently operated the Dharma, and after continuously running for 7 and 40.9 weeks, the spiritual energy around his body gradually formed a vortex. Then, both the primordial spirit and the physical body shook at the same time, feeling that many impurities had been expelled from his body. At the same time, the primordial spirit became more and more ethereal, and the actions of the people in the tribe were undoubtedly revealed in Xuanchen's perception as if they were observing fire. This is a sign of the release of divine souls, and Xuanchen has entered the realm of earthly immortals. After only 1 day of obtaining the martial arts, Xuanchen entered the realm of earthly immortals. He was quite satisfied with his current qualifications. Before becoming a true immortal, there was more accumulation of magic and elemental gods, and there was not much emphasis on it. 2 days before Laozi preached, Xuanchen went to clean his body and continued to cultivate, striving to consolidate the realm of earthly immortals. The big day rises in the east and sets in the west, and 2 days pass in a blink of an eye. On this day, around 100,000 people gather in an open space to prepare to listen to Laozi's teachings. A high platform was built in the middle for the convenience of Laozi's preaching. Xuanchen looked up and found that in 3 days, most of them had not yet started, with only 2,000 or 3,000 already starting. These beginners were mostly the 3,000 human race who had first emerged. But what surprised Xuanchen the most was that in addition to himself, there were 4 people who also entered the realm of earthly immortals. 3 of them were Xuanchen, Yuchao, and Zi. These 3 were the later 3 ancestors of the human race, and they had previously used their merits to improve their realm through experiments. Xuanchen was not surprised, while the 4th person was the dark animal skin man who had previously led Laozi along the way. As soon as the hour came, Laozi Qing appeared out of thin air on the high platform, surrounded by green clouds all over his body, and the infinite charm of the Tao appeared. The people below wanted to bow, but before they could, they were stopped by Laozi Qing. No need to be polite, today I will talk about the Golden Elixir Avenue. As soon as Qing Laozi spoke, his tongue burst with golden lotus, and infinite Tao rhyme emerged. The spiritual energy around him also became more and more intense. Golden chains of light condensed from the void, which were the Dharma and the Tao. Xuanchen had already read through the cultivation methods passed down by Laozi before, but only had some understanding of the methods before being a true immortal. However, as the holy words entered his ears, he felt like a great bell, enlightened and enlightened. Some of the previously unclear areas suddenly became clear, and the cultivation method operated on its own, incredibly smooth. When Laozi spoke, it was only 3 months. According to theory, everyone below should have been hungry long ago, but upon hearing the holy music, everyone below did not feel any hunger or thirst and immersed themselves in it. The first 2 months were fine, but the content taught in the 3rd month became more profound, with few people able to understand it. It was just that the martial arts were operating on their own, and Xuanchen was no exception. However, he had merit, and at this moment, he ignited it without hesitation. He only felt that his own understanding had increased dozens of times, and those difficult to understand contents were now easily understood. In 3 months, everyone in the audience has entered the stage, and those with excellent qualifications have made breakthroughs. With the blessing of the sage's spiritual charm, one day can withstand several months of hard cultivation. As many as hundreds of people have entered the realm of earth immortals, Xuanchen, Xuanchen, Yuchao, Zi, and the dark animal skin man have also broken into the realm of the middle stage of earth immortals. After the sermon was over, everyone was still immersed in the lingering charm, until the sound of Laozi speaking to the dark animal skin man brought everyone back to their senses. Would you be willing to be my disciple? The beastly man was shocked and surprised upon hearing this, and immediately turned into boundless joy. I am willing, do you have a name? Teacher, no, please give me a name. Since that's the case, I have gained enlightenment from the transformation of the Xuandu purple mansion in the past. Since you are my disciple, let's take the name Xuandu. The disciple thanks the teacher, no, Xuandu pays respects to the teacher. Xuanchen looked at the figure kowtowing beside him, couldn't help but be shocked, and in the blink of an eye, he felt it was just right. He turned out to be the only disciple of the legendary human religion, the great master of Xuandu. It is said that he had such intelligence. It is said that the first human race created by Empress Dowager Nyuwa was him. However, when he crossed over, Empress Dowager Nyuwa enlightened him together, and Xuanchen didn't know who pinched him first. As he watched Laozi accept his apprentices, Xuanchen thought to himself that he didn't care about having another one. He then looked up at Qing Laozi with a burning gaze. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Knocking Heart and Asking, Purple Gold Gourd. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Knocking Heart and Asking, Purple Gold Gourd. Looking at Xuanchen's scorching gaze, even as a saint, Laozi felt a bit embarrassed. After all, My own preaching was also established and became holy because of the mention of the word education by this son, and ultimately I owe a cause and effect. But I have previously calculated that I have no connection with this son as a master disciple, and this son has a strong desire to seek the Tao. He also has merit and is a good seedling, and his achievements will not be low in the future. However, my Tao emphasizes inaction, and emphasizes letting nature take its course. If the purpose of cultivating my Tao is too strong, it will only result in half the effort, or even not making progress. After thinking for a moment, I took out a purple and golden gourd, and in the blink of an eye, the gourd was in Xuanchen's hand. I have said before that there is no teacher-student relationship between us. This gourd was obtained by me from Mount Buzhou in the past, ranking among the highest quality innate spiritual treasures. It contains 40.2 innate prohibitions and many elixirs, which are enough for you to cultivate to the level of the great Luo Golden Immortal. The reason why I became a Taoist was inspired by your 2 words of enlightenment. This treasure was given to you, but what is the cause and effect between you and me? Xuanchen knew the origin of this gourd when he heard Laozi say that it was obtained from Zhoushan and ranked among the top quality innate spiritual treasures. After the second lecture of the Zixiao Palace in the past, one of the top 10 innate and top-notch spiritual roots, the gourd vine, was born. It bears 7 gourds, 1 for each of the 3 cleans, and 1 for each of Nyuhua, Hongyun, and Donghuang Tai. There is also an immature purple-green gourd that was sent by Hongjun Daozu to be taken away by the young boy Haotian. Speaking of which, this gourd vine is indeed tragic. It was dismembered right after birth. Not only did the gourd bear fruit, but also the soil on which the gourd vine and the gourd grew were taken care of by Nyuhua in one pot. The soil was used to make people, and the gourd vine was used to mix with the mud. It can be said that it was the most tragic thing in the world. However, there are many spiritual treasures in my hand, and this one is not lacking. Moreover, as a saint, not many of them dare to compete with me in martial arts. Although they are top-notch innate spiritual treasures, they can only be used as elixirs. During the Western journey in later generations, Sun Wukong was almost taken down by the 2 children of Laozi, who stole him from the world. All he needed to do was shout out the other person's name. Regardless of their real name or pseudonym, they would be sucked into the gourd. If they were driven by magic, they would turn into concentrated water in just a few moments. Xuanchen naturally wanted these magical treasures, not to mention there were enough pills inside to cultivate to the level of Deluo. However, Xuanchen was not surprised. There was no difference between him as a ground immortal holding the top-quality innate spiritual treasure and a child holding gold to pass through the bustling market. What is the most important thing in the world of floods and wastelands? Is there anything more secure than a saint, and this saint is still Laozi? Do you not see the 6 saints of later generations signing the list of gods? Would I rather put my own good corpse on the list than sign the name of Xuandu? Saint, I don't want this spiritual treasure. I earnestly request the saint's mercy and accept my disciple. Xuanchen was unwilling to give up. The disciple of the sage is much more valuable than the top-quality innate spiritual treasure. Foolish child, it's not that I don't want to accept you. Firstly, we really don't have a master-disciple relationship. Secondly, your desire to seek the Tao is too strong, which is a good thing. However, our Tao emphasizes inaction and letting nature take its course. If our desire to seek the Tao is too strong, it can backfire. I ask you, what is your pursuit of the Tao? Eternal life. Dominance, Laozi immediately asked, curious that this young man seemed out of place with the rest of the human tribe. Everyone else was thinking about how to survive and live better every day, and only this person was pursuing the path of cultivation. Different paths lead to different strategies. Is that so? Xuanchen thought to himself, is it actually because the Tao is not right that I am unwilling to accept it? I value inaction, and at the beginning, I value conforming to fate. Tong Tian wants to cut off a thread of vitality for all beings. Longevity. Dominate. Xuanchen shook his head. Perhaps he had thought about immortality, but that was just a passing thought. If he only pursued immortality, what is the point of cultivating? As for hegemony, whether in his past or present life, he has a carefree nature and has never had this idea. Perhaps he would step forward when the human race is in trouble, but he has never thought of it. What is the purpose of self-cultivation? Looking back on the 5 years of traveling through the wilderness, he had seen his people fighting fiercely against wild beasts, struggling to survive. He had seen the human race go from drinking blood to the current state, perhaps just wanting to live at first. Of course, I also want to ride the wind with my sword, dispelling the carefree pleasure in the world of demons. But when he saw that the newborn human race was cheering and dancing with joy due to a fire, he secretly guided the nesting and sewing workers to sew clothes, build houses, and even made fishing nets, bows and arrows, and pottery by himself. Perhaps at first, he only wanted to gain merit, but seeing so many people of his tribe's joy of using tools to capture prey for the first time, Xuanchen felt that his journey was not in vain. Gradually, Xuanchen thought more and more, thinking about his past life, the human race's journey from drinking blood to farming, the unity and solidarity in the face of disasters, and the countless ancestors who passed down the torch, braved the hardships, and opened up the mountains and forests. Longevity is not my wish, it only relieves the worries in my heart. Xuanchen replied that his cultivation was to ensure the inheritance of the human race, to prevent them from becoming the food of the demon race, to avoid their fate of being refined into a witch-slaying sword, to want the human race to rise, to want the human race to stand on the top of all races, to be able to do good without ability, and to assist the heavens and the earth with ability. All he could ask for was peace of mind. Perhaps the path that leads to heaven is the most suitable for oneself. I understand now, thank you for your guidance. After thinking it through, Xuanchen only felt that his Tao heart was empty and clear. If he were to practice at this time, he would achieve twice the result with half the effort. It's okay, although we don't have a master-disciple relationship, you are a human race and I am the leader of the people's education sect. This is also fate. Please ask the sage to retrieve the spiritual treasure. The disciple has something to ask for. What's up? As long as it's not a matter of apprenticeship. Laozi looked at Xuanchen bowing below the stage and said with a mixture of tears and laughter. Well, it's indeed related to apprenticeship, but it's not about worshipping a saint as a teacher. The saint has repeatedly explained that the saint and I are not related to each other as a master or disciple. If Xuanchen insists any further, he will be at a loss. Xuanchen quickly explained, do I have such a fear of accepting disciples? The day before, the three saints had a vision spreading throughout the wilderness. I could see that the relationship between the sage and the sage who connected to heaven was very close. The sage expressed his willingness to cut off a thread of vitality for all beings, and anyone with a heart of the Tao could enter his door. The disciple wanted to ask the sage to introduce him on his behalf. After speaking, Xuanchen quickly held the gourd in both hands and respectfully prepared to return it to Laozi. Third brother. It's also a good choice. I can take you back to Kunlun, but whether third brother is willing to accept you as an apprentice depends on your nature. I'm obviously in a good mood, so I agreed directly this time. Thank you sage, this gourd. Take it, even if we settle the cause and effect between you and me, taking you back to Kunlun is just a passing matter. Upon hearing Laozi's words, Xuanchen quickly bowed and thanked him. This is a top-notch innate spiritual treasure. Not to mention being a small earthly immortal, there are not many of them, even the great Luo Golden Immortal. Previously, he was afraid that a person would be innocent and harbor a precious sin, but if he could become a disciple of the sage, how many people would dare to take action against his younger brother? Have you not seen the 7 Gongming purple qi bestowed by the Hongjun Taoist ancestor? There is no one among the many great powers in the wilderness who dares to attack the 6 disciples of the Taoist ancestor, only the kind-hearted Red Cloud. Later, with a gentle wave of Laozi's sleeve robe, a cool breeze blew past. Xuanchen and the nearby Xuandu had already changed their attire, their animal skins had turned into a green and white Taoist robe, and their bare feet had a pair of boots. Even their hair was tied up in a blue scarf. Since you two want to return to Kunlun with me, your attire is a bit out of place. I don't know when I will be able to learn spells. Xuanchen looked at the changes on his body and was very envious. There are several basic spells in the Golden Elixir Avenue taught by Laozi, but they all need to be learned in the Heavenly Wonderland. There is no other way. Who would say that he is now a tile in the wilderness? Later, Laozi asked Xuanchen and Xuandu to return to Kunlun with him in 3 days. The sermon ended and everyone dispersed. Xuanchen returned to the thatched cottage and silently reflected on his gains and losses. Although Laozi still did not accept him as his disciple, his apprenticeship was the same. At least before becoming a deity, he had a saint to support him. It is estimated that there are still several 100,000 years left for him to become a deity, which is enough for him to silently develop. At present, with the method of cultivation and the cultivation of magical power, Xuanchen looked at his entire wealth. Pottery bottles, fishing nets, bows and arrows stained with merit, the mud ball left by An Yuhua, who had mixed the 3 light divine water and 9 heavenly land, and the top-notch innate spiritual treasure, the purple gold gourd, bestowed by Laozi. Firstly, it is the top-quality innate spiritual treasure bestowed by Laozi, which has the highest value. However, at present, not only can one refine it themselves, but they cannot even open it. This level of spiritual treasure requires at least a true immortal realm to activate it, and for the time being, one can only watch it. Next is the mud ball left by An Yuhua's creation of humans, which is not immortal, but currently I can only watch it myself. Finally, he came up with a set of 3 pieces of merit and virtue that he had created himself. With his magical power, Xuanchen finally understood the functions of the 3 objects and named them respectively. Palm Heavenly Bottle, Dotian Net, and Xiantian Bao. As for the name being so impressive, whether there is any cause and effect is not something Xuanchen considered. After all, he is now related to the sage. The Palm Heavenly Bottle is actually a storage equipment with internal space that can store items. Currently, it is only a few square sizes. As one's mana increases, the internal space will become larger and larger, which has nothing to do with Han Li's Palm Heavenly Bottle. Dotian Net is a forbidden treasure that can be used to trap enemies. The upper limit is unknown, but currently, Xuanchen's magic can temporarily imprison the heavenly immortal at most. The Xiantian Bao is naturally a long-range weapon, but currently it has the most range and attack power against the heavenly immortals, making it the only offensive weapon in Xuanchen's hands. The 3 magic treasures are currently limited by their materials and are not considered spiritual treasures. However, according to some common knowledge passed down by Laozi in Jindan Avenue, merit gives the 3 magic treasures the possibility of growth. If you learn how to refine tools, you can refine the spiritual materials and magic treasures together, improve their level, and become a spiritual treasure of postnatal merit. Knowing the function of the magic weapon, Xuanchen also had a clear understanding in his heart. He then put the mud ball, Dotian Net, and Xiantian Bao into the Palm Heavenly Bottle. As for the purple gold gourd, its current grade is too high to accept. 3 days passed in an instant, and it was time to leave. Seeking collections, seeking recommendations, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Apprenticeship to Heaven, Intercept Second Apprentice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Apprenticeship to Heaven, Intercept Second Apprentice Kunlun Mountain. This mountain is known as the ancestral lineage of thousands of mountains. Its height is unknown to millions of zhang, and its width is unknown to millions of li. The mountains are undulating, with sensitive and beautiful clocks, immortal birds and beasts, immortal flowers in Langyuan, and immortal grass with spiritual roots. It has everything, and it is unknown how many. Although it is not as high as the Tianzhu mountain, the mountain is full of spiritual energy and immortal energy. In terms of wealth, it is still on the top of the Buzhou mountain. Kunlun Mountain spans the eastern and western boundaries of the Honghuang Mountains. It stretches millions of miles to the west and is known as West Kunlun. It is the dojo of the Western Queen Mother, the head of the Honghuang female immortals, and thousands of miles to the east is East Kunlun, which is the Sanqing dojo. At this moment, a flash of escape light appeared, and the three of them landed on a mountain peak in Kunlun. It was Laozi and Xuanchen Xuandu who had just become saints. The thousands of peaks in Kunlun Mountain compete for beauty, all of which are magnificent wonders. However, this place is vastly different, with 3 palaces towering into the clouds, winding pavilions, qiong bricks and jade tiles, and immortal sounds swirling around. Big Brother. As soon as he landed, Xuanchen had not had time to scrutinize when he saw 2 people coming towards him. On the left was a middle-aged man wearing a pure white Taoist robe, with a solemn and dignified expression, and on the right was a handsome young man with sword eyebrows, starry eyes, and a dignified demeanor, giving off a sense of elegance and elegance. The visitors were the jade-clear primordial heavenly sovereign and the Shangqing Tongtian sect leader. Sanqing became a saint one after another, and every time they met, they exchanged greetings and exchanged ideas. Xuanchen stood on the side, not daring to disturb them. After some pleasantries, Tong Tian first looked at Xuanchen and Xuandu and asked. Big Brother, are these 2 of you new disciples? Earth Immortals. Their cultivation level is too low, isn't it? Yes, that's right. This son is named Xuandu, the chief disciple of our people's education, and the other son is named Xuanchen. I was inspired by him when I realized the method of establishing a religion and becoming a saint. However, I don't have a master-disciple relationship with him. Coincidentally, he heard about your wish to teach without distinction, but he wanted to join your name. Since I was on the way, I brought him back. Laozi's expression was indifferent, unable to distinguish between sadness and joy. He first pointed to Xuandu, then pointed to Xuanchen and said. Xuanchen dared not be too reserved, so he quickly knelt down and kowtowed, saying, Disciple Xuanchen pays his respects to the sage. He has heard that the sage is of no kind, and anyone who speaks with the heart of the way can worship the sage. He earnestly requests the sage's mercy and accepts the disciple. People always like to listen to good words, even saints are no exception. When he heard Xuanchen's words, Tong Tian's face also showed a faint joy. He swore to educate all beings and would not refuse. Moreover, this son was recommended by his elder brother, and I heard that his brother owed him a share of the cause and effect. It is better to accept him as a personal biography. In that case, you are my second disciple. When I traveled through the wilderness before, I had already taken in a disciple named Duobao, and you will see him later. However, your cultivation level is too low. The minimum requirement for me to practice the upper Qing immortal law is in the realm of the true immortal realm. I believe that you should be practicing the Golden Pill Avenue that my elder brother has passed down. Once you enter the realm of the true immortal realm, I will pass on your upper Qing immortal law. Disciple Xuanchen pays his respects to his master, wishing him a holy and boundless life. Upon hearing this, Xuanchen bowed again, then bowed to Laozi and Yuanshi. Greet Master and Second Master. Congratulations to the third brother for having a wonderful disciple. Upon hearing this, Laozi said to Tong Tian, Yuanshi remained non-committal, but still nodded. Xuanchen is still very confident in accepting disciples from Tong Tian. After all, there is no distinction between education and immortality. It is not a rumor that future immortals will come to court. However, he did not expect that he would be a disciple passed down personally and ranked second. It should be noted that in later generations, although all immortals came to the court, most of them were ordinary disciples and named disciples. During the period of enfeoffment, the sect was also divided into inner and outer gates. The disciples of the inner gate all lived on Jinao Island with the leader of the Tongtian sect, such as Duobao Taoist, Jinling Holy Mother, Wudang Holy Mother, Guiling Holy Mother, Attendant 7 Immortals, and Jinao Island 10 Heavenly Kings. And the disciples of the outer sect opened up a dojo outside, with representative figures such as Zhao Gongming, San Shao, Yan Zhong Xian Luo Xian, Wen Xian Lvu, Zholong Island 4 Saints, Shiji Nyang Nyang, etc. For example, San Shao opened a dojo in Bixia Palace on Jiesher Mountain, and Zhao Gongming opened a dojo in Luofu Cave on Amei Mountain. Although many Daoist immortals are renowned, they are not their direct disciples. There are only 8 direct disciples, namely Duobao Daoist, Jinling Holy Mother, Wudang Holy Mother, Guiling Holy Mother, Zhao Gongming, Yunxiao, Qiongxiao, and Bixiao. At this time, Sanqing had not yet separated families and their relationship was still very harmonious. It was also for the sake of Laozi's face that Tong Tian took him as his personal successor. In the future, he would be ranked 3rd in the imperial examination, with Tong Tian and Duobao above him. In the future, Jin Ling Xingmu, Wu Dang Xingmu, Gue Ling Xingmu, Zhao Gongming, Yun Xiao, Qiong Xiao, Bai Xiao and others would all call him second senior brother. It would be nice to think about it, second senior brother. Why does this setting resemble the villain so much? Never mind, strength is everything. Otherwise, the eldest and second senior brothers are just empty talk. Xuanchen's thoughts were put aside and he immediately stopped daydreaming. The 8 disciples who have passed down the teachings are all innate forms of materialization. At the beginning, they are at least true immortals and mystical immortals, and even golden immortals are possible. Their own qualifications can only be described as average. Taking advantage of the fact that no one has come to worship them yet, it is important to focus on cultivation as the right path. Kunlun Mountain is full of spiritual energy and is a good place for cultivation. Even without the blessing of a sage preaching, in just 10 years, Xuanchen has broken through to the realm of immortality. The immortal path is rugged, and it takes more time to reach each level, often increasing by several times or tens of times. When it comes to the Dalai Lama, the quasi-saint is even counted in terms of meeting Yuan. Not to mention the bottlenecks, mental demons, and resource issues encountered during the cultivation process, so the further one goes, the more difficult it becomes. Cultivators with higher levels often spend thousands of years in seclusion at once, just like a pyramid, with very few people able to stand at the top of the tower. The immortal road is long, and only those who have a firm heart and can withstand loneliness can reach the summit. During these 10 years, Xuanchen did not only focus on cultivation. After all, cultivating immortals was not just about fighting and killing, but also about being worldly wise. Therefore, he would go to Sanqing to pay his respects at intervals. I also got to know other people on Kunlun Mountain, first and foremost his cheap senior brother, Duobao Daoren. Duobao Daoren was born in the form of Duobao Rat, who had been worshipped by the leader of the Tongtian sect before becoming a saint. Now he is in the later stage of cultivation of the Golden Immortal, but he is easygoing and treats people generously and politely. There is no trace of the Buddha in later generations. Secondly, under the guidance of the Chan sect, there is still no trace of the 12 Golden Immortals. Like Duobao, Antarctica was a disciple before the Sanqing became a saint. However, it is now a middle-aged Taoist image, far from the image of a fairy with white hair and white beard in later generations. Its current cultivation is also in the late stage of the Golden Immortals. Although Antarctica is also polite, he doesn't say much. Every time Xuanchen sees him, he politely greets him, but he has a good relationship with the white crane he raised. Occasionally, he picks some fairy fruits from Kunlun Mountain to feed, but he doesn't know if this white crane is a white crane boy from the later period of being a deity. As for the people's education, Xuandu, although everyone was born of the human race, their personalities were different. After arriving at Kunlun Mountain, they focused on cultivation. In the past decade, Xuanchen only saw Xuandu twice, and last time he broke through the realm of immortality. Yes, Xuandu is naturally made of materials for cultivating immortals. In theory, everyone is made by Nua, and their qualifications should be similar. However, Xuandu broke through the realm of immortality 2 years earlier than Xuanchen. In recent years, some people have come to Kunlun Mountain to pay their respects, but Master Tai Qing has no intention of accepting apprentices. Master Yuanshi's requirements were too high, and not a single person who came was attractive. As for Master Tongtian, he did not refuse to come and took in more than 10, but most of them were from unknown backgrounds in later generations. Only 2 of them have names passed down in later generations, namely the Golden Spirit Holy Mother and the Black Cloud Immortal. The Golden Spirit Holy Mother is the transformation form of the innate Gung Gold, and the transformation form is the Golden Immortal. Not only is she beautiful and unparalleled, but her aptitude is also considered top-notch in the entire wilderness. The leader of the Tongtian sect naturally took her as his own disciple, and Xuanchen and she often met. Although they were gentle and polite every time they met, Xuanchen could see that she was somewhat dissatisfied with being a senior brother to someone like herself who was not even a golden immortal, but she just didn't show any signs. Wuyan Immortal is a golden-bearded turtle-shaped creature with a similar aptitude to Xuanchen. It can only be considered average and appears to be gentle and polite, making it easy to get along with. However, it has not been adopted as a personal disciple, just an ordinary disciple. As for the others, they are just named disciples. At the Heavenly Immortal Realm, Xuanchen was finally able to practice some of the spells recorded in the Golden Pill Avenue, such as avoiding dust, removing dirt, escaping the earth, guarding objects, and soaring clouds. However, although they were only small spells and not great supernatural powers, they also made Xuanchen delighted. The realm of immortality has a lifespan of 10,000 years. As long as Xuanchen does not commit suicide, living for 10,000 years is not a problem. In the realm of true immortality, one can live for 30,000 years, in the realm of mystical immortality, for 50,000 years, and in the realm of golden immortality, for 100,000 years. Only by reaching the realm of golden immortality can one's lifespan exceed 1 yuan. As for the Tai Golden Immortal, he needs to cultivate the 3 flowers and 5 qi, increasing his lifespan by 1 yuan for every additional qi he cultivates. After cultivating the 5 qi and gathering the 3 flowers, he reaches the realm of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. By the time he reaches the Great Luo Golden Immortal, he has already transcended the 3 realms and is not within the 5 elements. In theory, he has already lived the same life as heaven and earth, and the sun and moon are in the same gung. In reality, he can live forever and not die. As long as there is no external force or spiritual energy is exhausted, he will live forever and not die. But all things are born to support humans, and humans have nothing to repay the heavens. The carrying capacity of the flood and wilderness is limited. To a certain extent, there will be calamity energy and production calamity between heaven and earth, such as fierce beast quantity calamity, dragon Han quantity calamity, and witch demon quantity calamity. In his past life, Xuanchen had also read many novels about the wilderness, many of which were driven by the protagonist's elevation to the realm of heaven and earth. However, even in this divine and demonic world of the wilderness, energy conservation laws must be followed. Spiritual energy will not be generated out of thin air, and there are signs of the world's nourishment. Perhaps in future generations, spiritual energy will be depleted, and the arrival of the end of the law era will come from this. The extreme number of heaven is 9. In the past, Hongjun Daozu Zixiao Palace preached that there were 9 saints in the heavenly way. Hongjun Daozu himself occupied 1, and the heavenly way withdrew 1. Later, he bestowed the foundation of the 7 saints, Hongmeng Purple Qi, which is probably also the reason. As for the authenticity and humanity, many flood novels have also written about them. For example, many people in later Earth claim to be authentic saints, while others claim to be heavenly saints. With the help of a reclusive accomplished saint, they cannot escape from the underworld. However, at the current level of Xuanchen, it is not possible to verify whether they exist. Even if they exist, they are still limited by the flood world itself, and there must be many limitations. Although heaven, earth, and human beings are tied for the 3 talents and correspond to the number of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, there are still differences. In his previous life, Xuanchen followed an old Taoist and also read the Book of Changes in many Taoist scriptures. The number of 5 elements refers to the number of birth of the 5 elements, which are water 1, fire 2, wood 3, metal 4, and earth 5, also known as the number of small derivatives. 1, 3, 5, and are yang numbers, and their sum is 9, so 9 is the extreme number of yang. 2, 4 is a negative number, and its sum is 6, so 6 is the extreme number of yin. The number of yin and yang is combined to form 15, so when it is transformed into luo shu, the number of vertical, horizontal, and oblique elements is 15, which is the number of yin, yang, and 5 elements. So in the Book of Changes, 9 represents the yang line and 6 represents the yin line. The sky is yang and the earth is yin, so the extreme number of the earth is 6. Therefore, even if there are authentic saints, there are only 6 at most. As for the human mystical dust, it is unclear. Having lofty goals is not conducive to cultivation. Xuanchen just thought about it and continued to practice in seclusion. After all, as the second senior brother, it is not a problem for each of his junior brothers and sisters to have higher cultivation levels than himself. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Things change and stars shift, refining fake things to come true. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Things change and stars shift, refining fake things to come true. 100 years have passed, seasons flow like a stream, and things change and the stars move. In the blink of an eye, 100 years have passed, and Xuanchen is still immersed in cultivation. Currently, it is the late stage of the heavenly immortal realm, and it is only one step away from the great perfection of the heavenly immortal realm. Over the past century, Kunlun has also become much more lively. In the beginning, the heavenly sovereign successively received 5 people. Guangchengzi, Chizizi, Huanglongjinren, Fearless Sun, and Taizhenren. 5 of the 12 golden immortals of Yushu in later generations have already ascended to Kunlun. The 12 golden immortals are arranged in order of entry, rather than strength. Therefore, although Huanglong Immortal was mocked as the 4 no immortals in later generations, he ranked 3rd among the 12 golden immortals. The 5 beginners were all of the golden immortal cultivation, which also met the consistent standards of the Xuanchen Heavenly Lord for accepting disciples. It is worth mentioning that the Xuanchen Heavenly Lord originally did not want to accept the Yellow Dragon Immortal, but the Yellow Dragon Immortal presented a top-notch innate spiritual treasure. The 9-Dragon Qinxiang Chariot. The 9-Dragon Agarwu Chariot is a transportation vehicle used by the later sage of Taoism, Xuanchen Tianzuan. It has a magnificent appearance and is pulled by 9 5-clawed golden dragons. When traveling, it exudes a myriad of colors and splendor. Although there were only 30.8 innate prohibitions, barely ranking among the top-tier innate spiritual treasures, it was so high that it met the preferences of saints. In addition, Huanglongjinren passed the test of going up the mountain, so he reluctantly accepted Huanglongjinren. Xuanchen has been climbing the Kunlun Mountains for over 100 years and has also understood the hierarchy of innate spiritual treasures. 1 to 12 innate prohibitions are considered inferior innate spiritual treasures. 13 to 20.4 innate prohibitions are considered as intermediate innate spiritual treasures. The 25 to 36 innate prohibitions are considered as top-grade innate spiritual treasures. 37 to 40.8 innate prohibitions are considered as top-notch innate spiritual treasures. As for the innate treasures, they all have 49 innate prohibitions. At first glance, the difference between the top-quality innate spiritual treasures and the innate treasures seems not very big. In fact, the one innate restriction of the innate treasures is even more terrifying than the 48 innate prohibitions of one of the top-quality innate spiritual treasures. Because the Great Tao is 50 and the Heavenly Yen is 40.9, the number of innate treasures is exactly the same as the number of Heavenly Yen, but the only forbidden difference is the difference between heaven and earth. The entire vast expanse of the world can be called the innate treasure, which is not more than the number of hands. The Tai Chi diagram of Laozi in Tai Ching, the Pangu banner of Yuanshi Tianzuan, the chaos bell of Donghuang Tai, the Qiankuan cauldron of Qiankuan ancestor, the god-slaying spear of demon ancestor Luo Gui, and the 36th grade of creation green lotus are all the treasures of chaos, which were transformed after being damaged by the Kaitian divine axe and creation green lotus. However, the whereabouts of the Qiankuan Ding and the god-killing spear have been unknown since the Battle of Daomo. It is highly likely that they were either in the hands of Hongjun Daozu or have been damaged. Later generations of Qiankuan Ding, Hongjun Daozu, lent An Yuhua a stone to repair the sky, while the god-killing spear disappeared completely. And the 30.6 levels of creation and transformation of Qinglian suffer from heavenly jealousy, and have been divided into 3 top-notch innate spiritual treasures. Panlong Biangui, Sanbao Yurui, and Qingping Sword. They are the most precious treasures of the 3 pure provinces, symbolizing the unity of human beings, elucidation, and truncation. The red flowers, white lotus roots, and green lotus leaves, which later generations referred to, were originally a family of the 3 teachings. So now, the only innate treasures on the surface of the vast world are the Tai Chi diagram by Laozi Tai Ching, the Pangu banner by the heavenly emperor Yuanshi, and the chaos bell by the eastern emperor Tai. Even the Zhu Xian 4 swords of the Tongtian sect are not innate treasures. The Zhu Xian sword, the trapped immortal sword, the Zhu Xian sword, and the Lu Xian sword are all 40.8 top-notch innate spiritual treasures that are forbidden by nature. However, when combined with the Zhu Xian formation diagram, they can unleash power comparable to innate treasures. Other special ones, such as the Hunyuan Golden Dipper, 7 treasures and Miao trees, mountains and rivers and grasslands, river map and Luo book, 12 rank lotus terrace, and 3 books of heaven, earth, and man, are just top-notch innate spiritual treasures. Although the innate 5 directions and 5 elements flag claims that the gathering of the 5 flags is comparable to the innate treasure, it actually relies on the power of the formation, just like the 4 swords of the immortal slayer. Moreover, no one has ever gathered the 5 directions flag. Honghuang Lingbao can be roughly divided into 5 categories. Acquired Lingbao, acquired merit Lingbao, innate merit Lingbao, and chaotic Lingbao. Of course, there are also exceptions, such as Tiandao Yibao Zhu Tian Qingyun, Tiandao Xiongxia Yibao Luhan Banner, Jintian Coffin, etc. These treasures do not enter the innate world and do not belong to the acquired world. The difference between innate spiritual treasures and acquired spiritual treasures is only the difference between innate prohibition and acquired prohibition. With each prohibition, innate spiritual treasures have an innate indestructible spiritual light. Having an innate and indestructible spiritual light, even if damaged in combat, the spiritual treasure itself can slowly absorb the spiritual charm of heaven and earth for repair. This is the advantage of innate spiritual treasures, but it does not mean that innate spiritual treasures are stronger than acquired spiritual treasures. For example, the Fantian seal of Guangchengzi in the golden Jiaojian of Sanshao Nyang, although acquired spiritual treasures, are more powerful than most innate spiritual treasures. Regardless of whether it is innate or acquired, merit spiritual treasures can be infused with enough merit. The higher the level of spiritual treasures, the more merit they need. There are not many innate merit and spiritual treasures in the entire wilderness. The only ones that can be named are Sanqing's Pan Long Biangui, Sanbao Yurui, Qingping Sword, and Yuhua's Red Embroidery Ball, and the 12 rank merit and virtue Golden Lotus. As for the representatives of the postnatal merit spiritual treasures, they are Laozi's Heaven and Earth Xianhuang Linglong Pagoda and the unknown Hongmeng Measuring Sky Ruler. These 2 treasures were formed by the combination of the Great Tao Merit, Xianhuang Qi, and Hongmeng Qi after the founding of Pangu in the past. Although their power is comparable to that of the previous heavenly treasures, they were formed after the founding of heaven and did not merge with the innate indestructible spiritual light, so they are only postnatal treasures. The artificial whip in Nyua's hand, the Shenong Ding, Xianyuan sword, Zhezhou Ding, Rui golden hoop stick, and others in later generations are all spiritual treasures of postnatal merit and virtue, but they have strengths and weaknesses. In fact, the Suiren diamond used by the Suiren clan to make fire from wood, as well as the palm heavenly bottle, Doutian net, and Xiantian bao used by Xuanchen, all contain many merits. In the future, as long as suitable materials are found to blend and refine with them, they can become spiritual treasures of acquired merits. However, the top priority was to improve his cultivation, and Xuanchen also understood this truth. He only occasionally came out to understand the situation and continued to practice in seclusion. After 20 years, Xuanchen still practiced until the heavenly immortal realm was fully completed, only one step away from refining the fake and achieving the true realm. Kunlun Mountain has a rich spiritual energy, far surpassing other blessed places. At this moment, as Xuanchen kept operating his martial arts, a massive amount of heaven and earth energy began to gather around Xuanchen Cave, leaving the surrounding spiritual energy empty for dozens of miles. These spiritual energies are not directly absorbed by Xuanchen, but are constantly being transformed, sometimes into yin and sometimes into yang, transforming into various completely different and opposite forces. The difference between postnatal and innate beings lies in the need to refine the postnatal group of yin and fully display the innate true yang. From then on, the 3 souls and 7 souls are no longer afraid of the yin wind and scorching sun, but the daytime primordial spirit emerges from the body. Even if the physical body is destroyed, the primordial spirit will not dissipate for a while. And the innate beings are naturally immaculate bodies, and even those born with golden immortals are different from the past. Unlike in the early stages of the Long Han reign, golden immortals were the lowest standard for transformation, but the lowest standard for innate beings to transform is also true immortals, which cannot be lower. So in fact, during his later journey to the west, Sun Wukong was born as a true immortal. However, due to his lack of cultivation, he gained a lot of postnatal turbid energy while eating and breathing. Later, Bodhi Patriarch passed down a miraculous method and easily refined the turbid energy in his body, ascending to immortality in one step, because he was born as a true immortal. In order for the innate spirit to advance to the realm of true immortality, it not only requires the accumulation of magic, but also the synchronous transformation of the elemental spirit and physical body. According to the teachings of Laozi from the Qing Dynasty, when practicing the Golden Elixir Avenue and reaching the realm of true immortality, one can strip away the yin of the acquired group, fully display the innate true yang, refine the 3 souls and 7 souls of nature, and transform one's divine will into a golden elixir. From then on, the avenue is promising. At this moment, Xuanchen used himself as a furnace cauldron, his magic as firewood, and his divine intention as fire, constantly refining his elemental spirit and physical body. As his magic continued to move along with the meridians, impurities in his body were also constantly being expelled, and his elemental spirit became increasingly heavy. The 36th Sunday. The 49th Sunday. The 64th Sunday. On the 81st Sunday. After running for 81 consecutive weeks, Xuanchen saw a lot of dirt being expelled from his body, and the primordial spirit also emerged from his body, appearing above his head. He saw the primordial spirit emitting a faint light, continuously absorbing the spiritual charm of heaven and earth, becoming more and more lifelike, until it finally became indistinguishable from his body. He. With a low cry from Xuanchen, the primordial spirit escaped into the flesh, and the vortex of spiritual energy around him dissipated, returning to calmness. However, Xuanchen's divine spirit became more introverted, constantly restrained, and finally condensed into a golden pill, escaping into the sea of elixir. Don't underestimate this golden pill, it already contains a trace of immortal gold meaning. After refining the elemental spirit, physical body, and magic power to achieve immortal gold meaning, you can be promoted to a gold immortal. Of course, first of all, you need to train your own elemental spirit into a mysterious and profound Tao body, and achieve the realm of mystical immortality. Otherwise, the physical body cannot bear the immortal gold meaning. With the return of the golden elixir, Xuanchen has cultivated into a true immortal realm. It has been 135 years since he traveled through the wilderness, and Xuanchen really wants to soar to the sky and howl. To show his ambition, it is important to note that if a golden pill is swallowed into his stomach, my life will depend on me, not on the heavens. If it were some lower-level cultivation world, I'm afraid I could become a sect and establish a sect, and be confessed by others. Unfortunately, this is a wasteland, and true immortality is just the beginning of the immortal path. Looking at the Kunlun Mountains, currently among the three religions, there are probably only the White Crane, a Taoist from Antarctica, and the one with the lowest realm, which still requires effort. Those who can come to Kunlun Mountain, even those unnamed disciples who have been accepted as named disciples by Tongtian, are at the lowest level in the realm of true immortality. Xuandu, who came with him, had already broken through the realm of true immortality 10 years ago. At that time, Xuanchen was wondering if Empress Nuwa used more materials to pinch him, otherwise everyone would be made of mud, and he still had merits. Why are you faster than me? Later, Xuanchen learned that the firstborn of any ethnic group would enjoy the blessing of the heavenly Dao Qiyun. Such people can achieve twice the result with half the effort in cultivation. For example, red sperm is the first innate red pine transformation, and red cloud ancestor, as well as Yun Shao, Qiong Shao, Bai Shao, and others who have not yet entered the world, are respectively the first innate white clouds, red clouds, and green clouds. It can only be blamed that Xuandu first created them. Xuanchen performed a descaling technique, and the strange smell of dirt all over his body suddenly disappeared. He was already a true immortal and could learn the Taoist techniques of the Shangqing lineage. It was time to find his master. Then Xuanchen stood up, stepped out of the cave, and flew towards the Shangqing Hall. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Secret Techniques of the Upper Qing Dynasty, with Go as the first character. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Secret Techniques of the Upper Qing Dynasty, with Go as the first character. Kunlun Mountain. The vast Kunlun Mountains are majestic, with towering mountains towering into the towering clouds, standing proudly on the vast land. At this moment, in the Shangqing Hall, the leader of the Tongtian sect is sitting cross-legged on the main seat, with a man in a Taoist robe standing respectfully below. Not bad, she entered the realm of true immortality after more than 100 years. She is truly a race created by Nuwa Shimi's great divine power, blending the 9 heavenly realm and the 3 light divine water. Although she cannot match the innate beings, she is also considered superior among the acquired beings. The leader of the Tongtian sect sighed and said, "The person standing next is Xuanchen. Since you have entered the realm of true immortality, today I will pass on to you the wonderful technique of 1 meridian of supreme purity. This is the Shangqing immortal technique, which evolved from the 9 transformations of the Yuan Gong. In the past, the 3 Qing dynasties of Pangu emerged from the Xuandu Purple Mansion in Kunlun Mountain, carrying a part of the inheritance of the Pangu Great God, including the 9 transformations of the Yuan Gong and 9 transformations of the Xian Gong, practiced by the Pangu Great God. These 2 practices respectively cultivate the physical body and the spiritual essence, which are actually the supreme methods that directly point to the Tao. Unfortunately, their inheritance is not complete. Your master and your second master confirmed each other and modified the remaining chapters of 9 transformations of Xiangong to 8 9 transformations of Xiangong. The cultivation is perfect and can be compared to the body of the ancestor which. The spiritual treasures are difficult to damage and will not be worn down in times of adversity. However, the primordial spirit is different from the physical body. Although your Grand Master and Second Master are all incarnations of the Pangu primordial spirit, our respective paths are different. Initially, we integrated our inheritance into one, but there were differences in the evolution of our martial arts. Therefore, based on our own characteristics, we 3 created the Tai Qing Immortal Code, Yuqing Immortal Code, and Shangqing Immortal Code. This, Xuanchen Immortal Code, is enough for you to cultivate to the pinnacle of the great Luo Golden Immortal Realm. After speaking, I saw a golden light flickering at the fingertips of the leader of the Tongtian sect, transforming into a stream of light and sinking into the sea of Xuanchen consciousness. The disciple kowtowed and thanked the master. It is difficult for a disciple to repay the master's great kindness in the face of death. I only wish that the master's holy path will prosper forever. Xuanchen quickly kowtowed and thanked him. It is the duty of a teacher to preach and receive knowledge. Since you have appointed me as your teacher, I will pour out all my resources to teach you. If you have nothing to do, go down and practice well. If you don't understand, ask me again. Now I have nearly 100 disciples under my sect, and in 1,000 years, I will preach in the Xuanchen Palace. Although the leader of the Tongtian sect spoke of his teacher's duties, who wouldn't like a talking disciple? The smile on his face betrayed him, and Xuanchen's congratulations clearly made him feel happy. Master, can those disciples of the 8-9 Xiangong learn it? Xuanchen said, you should know that in later generations, the 8 or 9 Xiangong is known as the first guardian divine skill of the Xianmen sect. Yang Jian only achieved a small success in his training, but he made a name for himself in the battle of sealing gods. Since his master has it, Xuanchen naturally wants to learn it. Although the 8-9 Xiangong is a body-refining technique, it also has high requirements for the primordial spirit and understanding. I have taught it to your senior brothers Duobao and Jinling before, and your second senior uncle has also passed it on to Nanji, Guangchengzi, and others. However, so far, only Duobao Cancan has been introduced. Your top priority is to improve your cultivation level. After all, your cultivation level is indeed a bit low. It's not a good thing to be distracted from practicing the 8 or 9 Xiangong, but since you mentioned it, I will teach it to you together. If you feel it's difficult to cultivate, give up in time and try again after you become a golden immortal. Although the leader of the Tongtian sect asked Xuanchen not to be distracted, he still passed on the 8-9 Xiangong to Xuanchen with his fingertips, but he did not have confidence in Xuanchen's cultivation. After expressing his gratitude again, Xuanchen left the Xuanchen hall and prepared to return to the cave to carefully study. The Xuanchen Immortal Technique was created by a sage and integrates the 9 transformations of the Yuan Gong, which was practiced by the great god Pangu. Naturally, it is vast and profound, and it took Xuanchen several days to get started. This is still because the golden elixir method practiced by Xuanchen before was simplified by Laozi based on the Tai-Ching Immortal Code. The Xuanchen Immortal Code and Tai-Ching Immortal Code share the same source. Although their magic power has been added differently, they share the same path in some meridian operations and enlightenment, which allows them to enter the realm within a few days. Otherwise, it will take at least several months. After entering the realm, Xuanchen began to practice in seclusion, preparing to convert all the magical power obtained from practicing the golden elixir technique into the upper pure immortal technique. It took him 3 months of hard work to complete the transformation. The Xuanchen Immortal Technique can be regarded as one of the most orthodox martial arts in the mystical world. It is not only rich in magical power, but also includes great divine techniques such as Xuanchen Divine Thunder and Xuanchen Immortal Light. Of course, to cultivate these divine powers, one must at least reach the realm of Xianxian, but it does not hinder Xuanchen from imagining scenarios where he can defeat enemies with Qingshan Thunder in the future. Although these divine powers cannot be practiced temporarily, basic spells such as Samadhi True Fire, Palm Thunder, and Imperial Sword can still be practiced. In fact, there are also these spells in the Golden Core technique, which have only been castrated and reduced in power, but also reduced in difficulty of cultivation. Samadhi True Fire is a spell that can be practiced in the realm of true immortals. The Upper Qing Immortal Law divides Samadhi into upper, middle, and lower levels, and further divides fire into Jun Fire, Chen Fire, and Min Fire, corresponding to the heart, kidneys, and bladder of the human body. The heart is the ruler of fire, and it is called the upper heaven, the kidney is the minister of fire, and is called the central heat, the bladder is the fire of the people, and it is called the lower bladder. The three qi gather to form fire, and disperse to form qi, hence the name samadhi true fire. Ordinary fire is a tangible and limited acquired fire, while true fire is an intangible and infinite innate fire. Ordinary fire harms the body, while true fire harms the mind. At first, Xuanchen couldn't figure it out, so he chose to burn the merit he had gained and fell into an enlightenment state. In just a few days, he successfully mastered the method of samadhi true fire. Palm thunder, used for internal cultivation to observe mysterious changes, nourishes true qi, and external use for heart power, magic, and talisman power. It releases powerful lightning from the palm of the hand, and the power varies depending on the amount of qi accumulated by the user. The deeper the magic power, the more qi accumulated, and the stronger the power will be. After becoming proficient, one can also count lightning and unleash it in unison, with infinite power. However, the technique of imperial swordsmanship was very different from what Xuanchen had imagined. Xuanchen thought it was like stepping on a flying sword and entering and leaving the underworld like in previous immortal dramas. But in fact, it is a technique of controlling swords against enemies, which can remotely control flying swords with mana and differentiate sword light against enemies. This technique has no upper limit, and the better the immortal sword used, the higher the understanding of the sword, the more sword light differentiated, and the stronger the power. It is rumored that the leader of the Tongtian sect can use the imperial sword technique to manipulate the Qingping sword, which can split into billions of sword lights, forming a sea of sword energy. When the sword is released, it shatters the vacuum, causing all things to be extinguished, and the killing intent is earth-shattering. After Xuanchen discovered that burning merit greatly helped with the cultivation of martial arts, he continued to cultivate using merit, and cultivated the samadhi true fire and palm thunder to a perfect state. The imperial sword technique, on the other hand, did not have a suitable sword, but was only suitable for beginners. Although merit is precious, as a traveler, Xuanchen knows that there are many opportunities to seek merit in later generations, so he naturally won't give up on it. Merit is only an external thing, and it is best to transform it into his own strength. Pushing the two major techniques to a perfect state, Xuanchen turned his gaze to the 8-9 Xiangong, in the Sea of Consciousness. In later generations, Yang Jian, the god of Erlang, learned the 8-9 mysterious skills and cultivated 70.2 techniques of transformation. All birds and beasts, mountains, rocks, plants, and trees in the world, as well as all things in the yin and yang 5 elements, are constantly changing. His ingenuity in application lies in one mind, and he skillfully maneuvers among the gods, repeatedly achieving military achievements. There is a poem that goes, "Cultivate the wonders of the 8 or 9 mysteries, and allow you to roam freely in the world." It can be seen that the 8-9 Xiangong is powerful. Among the disciples of the 3 teachings in Fengshen, only 2 have cultivated it, one is Yang Jian and the other is Yuan Hong. Regardless of the final result, one thing can be confirmed is that the ability to save lives has greatly improved. A Yang Jian was able to move forward and backward smoothly even after being warned by Zhang Kuei and his wife, and successfully retreated under the seal of the Fan Tian and Yin Jiao. Even if Yuan Hong was captured, Jiang Zia still had no choice but to ignore him, until he borrowed the immortal slaying flying dagger from Luya Daoist to successfully kill him. According to the leader of the Tongtian sect, currently only Duo Bao has successfully mastered the 8-9 Xiangong in the 2 teachings of Zhanjie, indicating the difficulty of this technique. However, knowing that Daoist Duo Bao had practiced the 8-9 Xiangong, Xuanchen also understood why Daoist Duo Bao was still unscathed after being hit by Guangchengzi's Fantian seal in a direct battle with the gods in later generations. It should be noted that at that time, Guangchengzi was already the great Luo Golden Immortal, and the power of using the Fantian seal by him was naturally incomparable to Yin Jiao. In later generations, Laozi transformed Hu into Buddha, Duo Bao into Buddha, and converted to Buddhist practices. He also excelled in his physical body, and his 6-Zhang golden body was not a false reputation. It is difficult to say that he did not have the foundation of the 8 or 9 Xiangong. Although the 8-9 Xiangong is difficult, Xuanchen had the confidence to demand it from Tong Tian. As long as he burned his merit, he could enter the state of enlightenment. Although the 8-9 Xiangong is a technique, it can also be called a technique, which contains 70.2 changes in the earth's evil. Xuanchen no longer hesitated, ignited his merit, and followed the cultivation path of the 8-9 Xiangong. Even in the case of burning merit, Xuanchen felt that the technique was obscure and difficult to understand. When he used the technique, he felt the muscles and veins all over his body swollen and painful, as if 10,000 ants were devouring his body. No wonder, as the first guardian of the Xianmen sect, there are very few who have mastered it. Not only is the technique obscure, but even the pain during cultivation is not something that ordinary people can bear. However, Xuanchen did not have the idea of giving up. Only by enduring hardships can one become a superior person. Those who aspire to achieve great things are only secondary to extraordinary talents, and perseverance is the top priority. After persisting in pain for 3 months and consuming 30% of his merits, Xuanchen finally introduced himself to the cultivation of the 8-9 Xiangong and successfully completed the first turn. His physical strength was more than 10 times that of before. After entering, Xuanchen did not continue to burn merit to assist in cultivation, but stopped. Firstly, merit is precious and it is not easy to obtain. The second is that the 8-9 Xiangong is divided into 9 transformations. The first transformation is just an introduction, and every 3 transformations are a stage. The fourth transformation is a small achievement, the seventh transformation is a great achievement, and the ninth transformation is a complete achievement. Before the small achievement, it was mainly polished through water grinding techniques, and the use of burning merit was not significant. But just getting started consumed Xuanchen's 3 successful virtues, which is truly the first protective divine skill of the Xianmen sect. However, it is also worth it, and Xuanchen felt the magnificent physical power on his body. During the period of seclusion in Xuanchen, there were many new faces in Kunlun Mountain, such as the later versions of the Randang Taoist and the Wudang Holy Mother, who respectively worshipped the Chan and Duan teachings. The Wudang Holy Mother was adopted as a disciple of the Tongtian sect, while the Randang Taoist was appointed as the deputy head of the Chan teachings. Speaking of which, both Randang Daoist and Sanqing were 3,000 guests from the purple sky. It was unexpected that he came to pay his respects to the Xuanchen Heavenly Master, which shocked many people's eyes. However, judging from his sincerity in his later cultivation as the great Luo Golden Immortal, the Xuanchen Heavenly Master still accepted him, but did not accept him as his younger brother. Instead, he appointed him as the deputy head of the sect. Speaking of which, the person who lit lanterns also has foresight. Among the many purple sky Buddhists, most of them were caught up in the situation of measuring their bodies and dying, so they decisively threw their skin down to embrace the saint's thigh. Later generations saw the opportunity to join the Buddhist sect and achieve the success of the past lantern-burning Buddha, becoming one of the top few saints. Indeed, the strength of a person who has lived for a long time is secondary, and the most important thing is perseverance. No matter how outsiders perceive the behavior of the burning lamp Taoist, Xuanchen sat and watched. After observing the situation, he closed his door again and silently practiced the Shangqing Immortal Technique and the 8-9 Mysterious Arts. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Return of Saints and the Establishment of the Styx Church. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Return of Saints and the Establishment of the Styx Church. The West. Mount Shimi. Zhuanti and Jane watched as Sanqing recruited his disciples and Kunlun Mountain's fortunes gathered, but their hearts became anxious. Senior brother, Sanqing has established a tradition and gathered a lot of great fortune. If we don't become saints again, it's unlikely that the West will have a great day of prosperity. Watching many talented and beautiful women apprentice under Sanqing, even the lamp-burning Taoists devoted themselves to preaching. The two of them, along with En Yuhua, Sanqing, and Hong Yun, all gained a magnificent purple aura. However, as they watched Nyuhua and Sanqing consecrate one after another, seizing the fortune of the wilderness, they were not in a hurry. At this moment, the Zhuandi Taoist said to the guiding Taoist with a worried expression. Although the person in charge of guiding the way did not have a mournful expression like Zhuandi, he also had no expression on his face, clearly feeling uncomfortable in his heart. I saw two people looking at each other, as if they had made some decision. With a wave of his sleeve, a golden light suddenly flew up to the sky, revealing the top-notch innate spiritual treasure. The 12th grade merit golden lotus. At this moment, the 12th-rank merit golden lotus has grown several times larger, slowly blooming and emitting countless auspicious auras. The spiritual charm of the surrounding heaven and earth is constantly converging, leading to the precise lifting of the lotus flower step by step. In the blink of an eye, it has reached the sky. Jian and Zhuandi stood shoulder to shoulder under the 12th-rank merit golden lotus, with a solemn appearance and a solemn expression, showing a state of compassion for heaven and humanity. The two of them looked at the depths of the sky, where the heavenly way was located. The Zhuandi Taoist shouted out his senior brother again, and the two of them immediately spoke in unison, swearing to the heavenly Tao. The heavenly way is above me, and I am inspired by the suffering of all Western beings. There is no way to seek the way, and here we jointly establish the Western religion. We are willing to use Buddhism to educate all sentient beings and spread knowledge to the world. Now, we use the 12th-rank merit golden lotus to suppress the energy of the Western religion, and hope that the heavenly way will learn from it. Western religion, stand. I was appointed as the head of the Western Orthodox Church and was given the name Jain Buddha. I, Zhuandi, am the second leader of the Western Church and my name is Zhuandi Buddha Mother. Boom. Accompanied by the introduction, Zhuandi made a vow of the heavenly way, and boundless phenomena emerged between heaven and earth, with purple energy crisscrossing and auspicious energy cascading. Countless runes of the heavenly way emerged, revealing many phenomena such as fairy mushrooms, yao grass, precious trees, divine birds, and qilin. Countless scriptures have emerged, accompanied by the sound of scriptures echoing through the sky. In the depths of the sky, thousands of miles of merit and golden light appeared, accompanied by countless heavenly merits falling, merging with the Gongming purple qi deep in their spiritual essence, driving their cultivation up all the way. In the middle, late, and great perfection of the quasi-saint, they quickly surpassed the great perfection of the quasi-saint and were promoted to half-step saints. However, just as the two were about to preach the Hunyuan sage and the sentient beings in the wilderness were preparing to congratulate the birth of the new sage, the golden light of merit abruptly came to an end. Watching this scene, Jian Zhuandi put on an expression that was as expected. The Western energy was in decline, only enough to establish one religion. The two of them established the same religion, and their merits in establishing a religion were not enough to support their sanctification. All sentient beings in the wilderness were shocked to see this scene. Originally, when they saw merit descending from heaven, they were all ready to kowtow and pay respects to the sage, but their merit unexpectedly stopped. What exactly is this situation? Isn't it because they shamelessly deceived Hongyun into giving up their seats when they were recruited by Zhuandi and the heavenly Tao couldn't bear to see it? Could it be that in the past, the demon clan Luo Gui detonated the Western bloodline, and this cause and effect fell on the head of Jian Zhuandi? Just as the sentient beings in the wilderness were speculating recklessly, and some great supernatural powers also showed a gloating expression, Jian Zhuandi once again spoke up and swore to the heavenly way. The heavenly way is above, and I am willing to make a grand wish to transform sentient beings, revive the Western land, and hope that the heavenly way will show mercy and bestow merit. Firstly, there is no evil wish in the country. Let me attain the Buddha, and there are hungry ghosts and animals in the country who do not seek enlightenment. Secondly, if there is no more evil way of wishing, let me attain the Buddha. After the end of my life in the middle of the country, I will return to the three evil ways and not attain enlightenment. Thirdly, if my body is truly golden, let me attain the Buddha. Those who are not aware of the true golden color in the country will not attain enlightenment. Fourthly, if one has the same form and wishes, let me attain the Buddha. In the country, there are people with different forms and colors, including those who are both beautiful and ugly, who do not seek enlightenment. Fifthly, fate, wisdom, and willingness are essential. Let me attain the Buddha. The heavens and earth in the country do not know fate, and those who know billions of tribulations caused by him do not seek enlightenment. With the continuous making of grand wishes by the guidance, the heavenly way once again bestows merit. This scene stunned all sentient beings in the wilderness, especially those who possess great supernatural powers. It turns out that the merits of the heavenly way can still be borrowed, but upon reflection, if there is a loan, it must be repaid. If these grand wishes cannot be fulfilled, one's cultivation may not progress inch by inch, and even fall, leading to the elimination of the path to death. This is a ruthless person. As the breath of Xuanchen continued to rise, those great supernatural beings in the flood and wilderness all sighed and choked their wrists. In their subconscious, Xuanchen could never achieve the best in his life. After all, in addition to the Hongjun Daozu who had already become part of the heavenly way, there were also 4 saints, Nyuhua, Taiqing, Yuqing, and Xuanchen. No one wanted to have 2 more saints on their heads, especially the demon and witch races who wanted to dominate the wilderness. Who is not a rebellious and unruly generation among the same great supernatural powers? Who is willing to submit to others? No, even someone like Xin Yuanzi who is dedicated to cultivation. But beneath the sages, there are ants, whether you are the ancestral Lich Emperor or the hidden might. 46th, listen to the Dharma as one wishes, and let me attain the Buddha. As a bodhisattva in the middle of the country, listen to the Dharma as one wishes and naturally attain it. If one does not follow their wishes, they will not attain enlightenment. 47th, being famous for not retreating from one's vows, assuming that I have attained the Buddha, all bodhisattvas in other lands will hear my name and not immediately attain the state of not retreating or turning, without seeking enlightenment. The 48th and third Dharma of forbearance is to grant me the Buddha. When the bodhisattvas of other lands hear my name, they will not immediately attain the first, second, and third Dharma of forbearance. Those who cannot attain the Dharma without retreating will not attain enlightenment. With the continuous issuance of grand wishes by Xuanchen, the heavenly Tao also bestowed merit to help the 2 improve their cultivation and integrate the Gongming purple qi. Until receiving the 48th grand wish, the breath on both of them finally successfully entered the realm of saints. However, if they cannot fulfill their grand wish, their cultivation is destined to be limited and they will remain in the early realm of saints. Seeing the 2 of them becoming saints together, all sentient beings in the wilderness offered congratulations, except for Hongyun who showed a worried expression. After all, he was the only 7 people who had received the Gongming purple qi before and had not yet become saints. As the vision dissipated, all sentient beings in the wilderness coincidentally stopped discussing the sage. Suddenly, a voice from the depths of the sea of blood spread throughout the wilderness. The heavenly way is above, and the Wuming river feels desolate and desolate. Therefore, we have established the Azura clan and asked the heavenly way to learn from it. After the Styx river prayed to the heavenly Tao immediately descended with merit, but the merit was only about 1/3 of that of the last time Nyuhua created humans. Many great supernatural beings in the wilderness immediately turned their gaze to the sea of blood, while more creatures in the wilderness sighed. Coming again. Isn't it that today, like before, there are 3 saints in a day? I saw the Styx river standing in the center of the blood sea, surrounded by many humanoid creatures. Many great supernatural beings understood that this was what the Styx Taoist called the Azura tribe. Unexpectedly, this guy from the Styx river quietly came up with such a feat. The heavenly way has also bestowed merits. He doesn't have the Gongming purple qi, can he become a saint? But what's wrong with this Azura tribe? The women are all as beautiful as immortals, enchanting and alluring. The male Azura is extremely ugly, with a ferocious face and an endless aura of ferocity emanating from his body, unable to help but marvel at the aesthetic of the Styx River. At this moment, the merit of the heavenly way is divided into two parts, and 30% is integrated into the 48,000 Asura around the Styx River, making these Asura more agile. And the remaining 70% is absorbed by the Styx River, and the Styx River's breath has also been elevated from the mid to late stage of quasi-sainthood, but these merits are not enough to support the sanctification of the Styx River. It seems that it is not possible to become a saint by creating a family, which has put a stop to many powerful beings who want to learn from Enua. Just as many great powers were preparing to withdraw their entrenched deities in the Sea of Blood, the Styx River opened again. The heavenly way is above, and now in Wuming River, with the Asura tribe as the followers, the Asura sect was established, and killing was the doctrine of the Asura sect. All things are born, and there is no one that cannot be killed. The 12-rank fire lotus was used to suppress the spiritual luck of the Asura sect. Asura religion, stand. With the establishment of the Styx River religion, the heavenly way once again emerged with boundless illusions, descending merits. All the merits of this time were absorbed by the Styx River, and the breath of the Styx River was also elevated to the level of quasi-holy and perfect. Is it still not working? Feeling the sage realm within reach, the Styx River felt like it was thousands of miles away. It was originally intended to borrow from the heavenly way like Jian Zhuandi, but without the aura of Hongmeng Zi Qi, it was probably like drawing water from a bamboo basket in vain. Mingyi silently turned his gaze towards the direction of Wuzhuang Temple. Red Cloud, there is still the last layer of Hongmeng purple qi on Red Cloud's body. At this moment, watching the failure of the Styx River's preaching, many great powers did not gloat, but rather some things hurt their kind. Without the Hongmeng purple qi, it is really impossible to preach. Countless great powers have now turned their minds to Hongyun. At this moment, no matter what the great powers of the wilderness think, Xuanchen is still silently closed, and he naturally heard the commotion just now. As a traveler, Xuanchen was not surprised by the failure of the Abhidharma path. The Asura tribe will become one of the 6 paths of the Asura path in the future, and the heavenly merit is not uncommon. However, I don't know if I can also gain some merit if I learn the art of creation in the future. It seems that only Enua and Styx River created a race in the wilderness, while other races were born from birth and multiplied over a long period of time. But although Emperor Jun did not create a clan, he gathered 10,000 tribes as demons and established the heavenly court. At that time, it should have been a heavenly merit, and perhaps he could try it himself in the future. But at this moment, Hongyun, who was staying at the Wuzhuang Temple, couldn't sit still. He had been there for tens of thousands of years but still didn't feel the opportunity to become a saint. The Hongmeng purple qi seemed to be non-existent in his sea of consciousness, with no movement at all. Hongyun has the intention to go out for a trip, but it is estimated that now he has been invited to become a saint by Zhuan. Those great powers in the quasi-saint realm may have set their sights on themselves. Now Hongyun has deeply regretted giving up his seat to Zhuan. If he were a disciple of the Taoist ancestor, who would dare to touch him in the wilderness? Well, let's wait a few hundred years and wait for the news to pass before going out for a trip. Seeking recommendations and collections, end of this chapter. Chapter 10. Gongming goes up the mountain and the way of refining weapons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Gongming goes up the mountain and the way of refining weapons. Kunlun Mountain. It has been 500 years since Xuanchen broke through the true immortal realm. With a wave of turbulence, Xuanchen has successfully entered the mid-stage of true immortal realm, thanks to the pill gifted by Laozi. Practicing is like climbing a mountain, the more you climb, the more difficult it becomes. Of course, there are also shortcuts, such as the 9 transformations golden pill refined by Laozi. Just take one pill and spend thousands of years refining it to achieve great success. There is also a direct use of merit to enhance cultivation. With the merit accumulated by Xuanchen before, it is enough to elevate him to the realm of the great Luo Golden Immortal. But such an improvement in cultivation is like a castle in the air, and it is difficult to make any progress in the future. Cultivating immortality not only cultivates one's magical power, but also one's state of mind. It is also an understanding of the Tao and the world. During the hundreds of years in Kunlun, Xuanchen had a clear understanding of the deeds of the three saints. From the transformation of the Xuandu purple mansion in Kunlun Mountain, to his travels in the wilderness, to his apprenticeship at the Zixiao Palace, to the division of the Qinglian into 3 treasures in Buzhou Mountain, and to his sharing of gourds with Anyu Wahongyun and others, including the treasures each of the 3 saints had, rumors were no longer limited to the past. The 9 transformations golden pill refined by Laozi, Xuanchen, was told by Laozi's mount, Banjiao Qingyo. It is said that before Laozi became a saint, he had collected a large number of heavenly and earthly treasures. After hundreds of years of refining, he finally refined a furnace of 9 transformations golden pills, totaling 7. With just one, after refining it, one can break through the great Luo golden immortal. This is something that Qingyo has personally practiced. Qingyo is a wild and exotic species that is not loved by heaven and earth, making cultivation difficult. Laozi felt that its cultivation was too low, so he took one for him. After refining, Qingyo became the great Luo golden immortal, but he never made any progress and remained in the early stage of the great Luo golden immortal. However, as a saint's mount, no one dared to touch it in the wilderness, and it was enough for the early days of the great Luo golden immortal. According to Qingyo, the accumulation of 3 flowers during the promotion of Tai Jingxian to Daoyuo Jingxian is related to the path of cultivation in the future. The 3 flowers are divided into 9 levels. Only when the flowers bloom at or above the 7th level, there is a possibility of promotion to the rank of quasi-saint. The peak of the great Luo below the 7th level is the end point. If it is below the 4th level, it cannot be called the great Luo golden immortal, only the great Luo scattered immortal, and this path will be cut off. Qingyo ate the 9 transformations golden pill and was promoted to Luo. He barely bloomed to the 4th rank, making him the weakest Luo golden immortal. He probably has no chance of promotion in his lifetime, but as a mount, he is more than enough. Since the last time Xuanchen saw Huanglong Apprentice deliver the 9 dragon Qinxiang chariot, he has been paying attention to the experiences and spiritual treasures of the saints. Originally, Xuanchen thought that the magic treasures of the saints were all given by Hongjun, ancestor of Zixiao Palace, but found that some of the spiritual treasures rumored in later generations have not yet reached the hands of the saints. For example, the 8 trigram stove and Kongtong seal of the Taiqing sage, the heavenly Qingyun of the Yuanshi heavenly sovereign, and the golden Jiaojian and Hunyuan golden dough bestowed upon the 3 heavenly emperors by the Tongtian sect still have no trace. If you want to ask Xuanchen how he knew, then you have to ask the mounts of the sage. After all, no one knows the sage better than the mounts of the sage. Coincidentally, there are many immortal fruits scattered on Kunlun Mountain, and Xuanchen often picks them together to feed the Banjiao Qingyo of the Taiqing sage, the Xixiang of the Yuanshi sage, and the Kuei-Nyo of his master, the Tongtian sage. Therefore, Xuanchen's relationship with several mounts is quite good, often asking them about the sage's experiences and spiritual treasures. However, since the yellow dragon immortal sent him to the 9 dragon Agarwood chariot, the Yuanshi heavenly lord has never ridden the 4 elephants again. After all, the 4 elephants are not as handsome as the 9 dragon Agarwood chariot. It seems that the Yuanshi master is also a handsome dog. The 9 dragon Agarwood chariot is based on 10,000 years of Agarwood. It collects the essence of the 9 stars on the top and the dark yellow gas on the bottom. It absorbs the essence of the sun, the moon, the stars, and the heaven, the earth, the mountains, and the rivers. Yin and yang flow, and the 5 elements of light travel. On the chariot, there are 9 golden dragon souls pulling the chariot, which is admired by the dark world. Over the past 500 years, there have been many new faces in Kunlun Mountain, such as the Guiling Holy Mother, Zhao Gongming, Jin Hooping Immortal, and Pilu Immortal, who were ordained by later generations, Lingbao Grand Master, Manjusri, Puxian, Cihang, and others who expounded on Buddhism. However, there was no trace of San Shao. Xuanchen remembered that Zhao Gongming should have sworn brothers and sisters with San Shao. Currently, Xuanchen has seen 5 of the original disciples of the 8 great patriotic teachings. For this reason, Xuanchen often interacts with Zhao Gongming. Zhao Gongming's cultivation is much higher than Xuanchen's, and he has reached the late stage of Xianxian. However, he is straightforward and does not lose sight of his senior brother because of Xuanchen's low cultivation. In a round trip, Zhao Gongming became the best person Xuanchen had in Kunlun Mountain. According to Zhao Gongming, he is a gentle breeze transforming from heaven and earth. He does have 3 sworn sisters. The eldest sister, Yun Xiao, transforms into a golden immortal, while the second sister, Qiong Xiao, transforms into a mysterious immortal. The younger sister, Bi Xiao, has not yet transformed, so Yun Xiao and Qiong Xiao are still guarding Bi Xiao. At that time, I heard that the Sage of Heaven was recruiting disciples in Kunlun Mountain. Originally, they said they would come to Kunlun Mountain to worship, but Yun Xiao and Qiong Xiao were worried about their younger sister, so they did not come. Zhao Gongming came to explore the way first, and after the younger sister Bai Xiao transformed, he would introduce the 3 of them to intercept the teachings. As for why Xuanchen was so devoted to San Shao, it was because when he inquired about the master's spiritual treasure with Kuei Nyo before, he found that there were no Hunyuan Jindo and Jinjiao Jian. Let's see if he had this chance. Moreover, Yun Xiao was the only one among all the disciples of the sect who clearly beheaded all 3 corpses in later generations. The original work mentioned that all 6 qi and 3 corpses were thrown away, and Qingluan was just a stone's throw away from the Jade capital. You should know that at that time, the chief Taoist Duo Bao had not yet beheaded the 3 corpses, but Yun Xiao did it, which fully demonstrates her qualifications. Moreover, in later generations, Yun Xiao still mastered the 2 major weapons of Hunyuan Jindo and Juku Huanghe formation, and it is not harmful to have a good relationship. Normal cultivation, without encountering opportunities or top-notch natural resources and treasures, even if taking pills, can only rely on time to gradually improve one's cultivation. In the past 500 years, Xuanchen not only elevated his cultivation to the middle stage of true immortality, but also successfully refined the 5 prohibitions of the purple gold gourd given by Laozi. Although he could not fully unleash the power of the spiritual treasure, as long as he called the other person's name, he would be taken into the gourd below the great Luo. Undoubtedly, it is a top-notch innate spiritual treasure with 40.2 innate prohibitions. This made Xuanchen see the powerful spiritual treasure's blessing on the cultivator, and he couldn't help but turn his gaze to his meritorious palm heavenly bottle, Doutian net, and Xiantian bao. He thought that he had learned how to refine weapons, combine suitable spiritual materials and treasures to enhance the quality of the treasure, which was enough to enhance his strength by several chips. Refining weapons is easy to learn but difficult to master. If you get started, you can refine some talismans and magical tools. However, if you want to practice them to a higher level, it will be difficult. Not only does it require cultivation support, but it also requires understanding of the Tao. Spiritual treasures with different attributes also require different attributes of the Tao. When it comes to refining weapons, the current one should be the strongest among the Xuanchen heavenly sovereigns. In later generations, the Xuanchen heavenly sovereigns forged the Fantian seal with half of it, which is not inferior to the top-quality innate spiritual treasure. Of course, as a sage, if one method is clear, all methods can be mastered. The holy sage of Taiching and Master Xuanchen of the Tongtian sect have also refined many famous spiritual treasures. Although Empress Anyuwa has not heard of refining any spiritual treasures, simply refining stones to repair the sky is not much different. As for the 2 Western sages, they were even more ruthless, refining their own bodies of bitter bamboo and Gingjin Bodhi into spiritual treasures. The highest level of alchemy is based on heaven and earth as the furnace, creation as the work, yin and yang as the charcoal, and all things as copper. The representative treasures are the Xianhuang Linglong Pagoda of the Heavenly and Earth by Laozi of Taiching and the missing Hongmeng Heavenly Ruler. These two treasures are a combination of the Xianhuang Qi and Hongmeng Qi produced by Pangu after the founding of the heavens, each of which has achieved the enlightenment of heaven and earth. Although they are acquired, they are not inferior to the innate treasures. So Xuanchen also prepared to learn how to refine weapons. After all, he had merit. As long as he burned his merit, he could quickly learn how to refine weapons. The purpose of leaving Xuanchen this time is to seek the method of refining weapons from the master Tongtian sect. Although the leader of the Tongtian sect did not want Xuanchen to be distracted, he saw that Xuanchen had not only reached the middle stage of true immortality, but also achieved the first transformation of the 8-9 Xiangong. Therefore, he passed on the method of refining weapons to Xuanchen. There are two methods of refining weapons. One is the Yuchen treasure record, which is the refining experience of the master of the Tongtian sect. One is the Yuanche golden seal, which is the essence of Yuanche Tianzuan's weapon refining method. At present, Sanqing has not yet separated their families, and their teachings are shared. Although they have established their own traditions, they have no views on the family. Many disciples under their sect can go and listen to their preaching. Both are the sage's insights into the art of refining weapons, and their value cannot be overstated. They can be said to be profound teacher kindness. Xuanchen did not conceal it and took out the prototype of the three magic treasures, namely the palm heavenly bottle, the Doutian net, and the Xiantian bao, which were stained with merit. He also made it clear to the leader of the Tongtian sect that he promoted the cultivation of magic and the realization of the 8-9 Xiangong by burning merit. The leader of the Tongtian sect also understood why Xuanchen had so quickly completed the 8-9 Xiangong. However, he advised Xuanchen not to consume all his merits, as he possessed merits and could receive blessings from the heavenly Tao Qi, promoting cultivation. Outsiders who want to kill people with merit also need to consider whether they can withstand the causal backlash of the heavenly way. Subsequently, the leader of the Tongtian sect took out two top-notch spiritual materials, Kunlun jade marrow and star essence, and combined them with the palm heaven bottle in front of Xuanchen to refine a top-notch postnatal merit spiritual treasure containing 36 layers of postnatal prohibitions. The merit contained in your bottle can only be refined into top-grade spiritual treasures. If you want to continue improving, the required merit will increase exponentially, which is not worth the loss. I have refined Kunlun jade and star essence inside, greatly expanding the space to hundreds of miles. It can absorb the power of the sun, moon, and stars day and night. In the future, you can use this item to release the power of the stars against enemies. Take it back and slowly cultivate it. The longer you cultivate it, the greater the power you release. After the leader of the Tongtian sect finished speaking, he returned the heavenly vase to Xuanchen, who was extremely grateful. I don't have the appropriate materials to refine the other two treasures. If you have the chance in the future, you can refine them yourself or find a master to refine them. However, Lingbao is ultimately an external object, and cultivation is the right path. Go down and practice well. With a gentle breeze blowing by, Xuanchen had returned to his cave. Afterwards, Xuanchen also silently comprehended the weapon refining method passed down by the leader of the Tongtian sect, and devoted himself to the cultivation of the Shangqing immortal technique and the 8-9 Xiangong. Seeking a collection, end of this chapter.